swimming is such a great sport. I mean, I really love it. I wasn't a particularly fit child. I wasn't particularly good at any other sport, but swimming is something I really love, and it's really lovely to share that passion for swimming that I have and be part of this.
Well, I'm really excited that there's so many people taking part of all abilities, and I think it's great that there's lots of youngsters that can swim with their mums and dads and stuff, and a lot of people have never done this before.
This British Gas Swim Britain initiative is so important. It's a great way to get families but also friends and people involved in swimming.
They're all here to support each other, which is, great morale, and hopefully will boost their confidence and self-esteem.
What we want is that in the next few years we want 500,000 people swimming regularly, and the benefits of that are huge.
It's a big challenge, but I think having events like this is really going to make a big difference to that.
Good morning and welcome to Tollcross International Swimming Centre for coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships, brought to you live and exclusive by Scottish Swimming in partnership with Glasgow Life, Scottish Gas, Speedo and QTV Sports. I'm Drew Gordon and I'll be your guide to the next 3 days of exciting swimming here in Glasgow's East End as the cream of Scotland's swimming talent vies for their place on Team Scotland at the 2014 Commonwealth Games. So we're going to have a chance to look back and see the day one final session. That's session 3, and we'll see the best from that in just a few seconds. Yesterday's men's 100 free was tight. There were 3 swimmers who could have qualified. And what happened at the end of this? Robbie Rennick won the event, took the national title, but was very disappointed with his 50.13. In the 200, Caitlin from Signal to Pad took charge of this event, got very close to the qualifying time, and against an injury did well. In the 50 back, 16-year-old Kathleen Dawson was in the fly. Moving to the backstroke, Catherine Dawson in a very tight finish managed to judge that finish perfectly, get the qualifying time, and she was absolutely delighted. In the breaststroke, Ross Murdoch equalled his own British record of 27.28 twice in the same day. That's great swimming. Hannah Miley, of course, expected from clear signal of intent in a 4:35 400 IM qualifying time, everything out of the way. Now she can focus on the games. Stephen Milne, Craig Hamilton battled, both qualified in the 1500. Milne took the title. And in the 4x2, 3 14-year-olds, 1 13-year-old ignored age in the entries, swam a stunning 4x200 to take the gold. Well, day 2, the early nerves are gone, and we've got a chance now to think about this morning's session. Swimmers are back out, finishing at 8 o'clock last night, an early start today. Let's have a look at what's coming up. The women's 200 IM, right through to a women's 800 freestyle this morning. You can see the events there. And David, delighted to be joined by David Leith again this morning. What do you see for this morning's session, David?
Well, a lot of exciting races coming up, I think, Drew. First outing for Michael Jameson today, so that's always going to be something to watch out for. Our great Olympic medalist in the 200-metre breaststroke. And then I think there's going to be a real great battle in the 400-metre freestyle. You know, the old youth versus experience of Stephen Milne versus Robbie Rennick. I think that's going to be a real battle later on today. And then we're going to see also some 100-metre backstroke. I think it's going to be a real great battle again. Craig McNally and Ryan Bennett, both really on form.
So the summer's used to it, but it's a short rest, isn't it? You get in late last night, you're back out early this morning with the faster heats from the events coming in the morning. A real tough championships. Yeah, definitely. It's a little bit different from the major events where you're likely to have maybe a little bit more time. But I think these guys will be well prepared, and they'll be able to swim pretty well across a 4-day meet without any problems. Thanks, Dave. Now, this week's championship has as much to do with you at home as it does the summers here. And we want you to play your part in making this event Scottish swimming's biggest and best ever national championships. To have your say, you can tweet us using the hashtag of SGNC2014. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Scottish Swimming. And wherever in the world you are, take a photograph and Instagram it in using the same hashtag of SGNC2014. We'd love to see your photos. All this is part of Scottish Swimming's commitment to bringing you the most exciting, engaging coverage of national championships wherever you are. And all this week's live coverage will be available to catch up on the Scottish Swimming YouTube channel. So if you'd like to keep up with the latest Scottish Swimming video content, here is how to do it.
Welcome to Scottish Swimming's official YouTube channel. No matter if you compete or participate in swimming, disability swimming, diving, synchro, open water, water polo or masters, if you're a teacher, tutor or coach, or simply interested in what we're up to, this is the place to find it, from wherever you are in the world. On our channel, you can watch our key events live or on demand, or simply the highlights afterwards, all for free 24/7. If you subscribe, you'll not miss any new videos, so what are you waiting for?
Well, the officials are in place for session number 4, and we're ready to go. First event up is the women's 200 individual medley, and a chance again to see the skills and talent of Hannah Miley at the top end. But a number of swimmers here are all about their personal best times, their individual challenges, and swimming, of course, for their club team. Remember, it is a national championships allied to a Commonwealth Games nomination selection trials. If they get the time, they will be nominated to the Commonwealth team, and then the final decision taken by that august body. So women's 200 IM. We have 5 heats of most events in the morning. An odd 1 or 2 take 6, but 5 heats, the faster 5 heats of entries. The next set of heats come in the afternoon session. So the women's 200 IM gets us underway. Multi-class swimmers, those that are in the categories of disablement, mixed in with the able-bodied in the most part, and they have their own targets for their Commonwealth Paralympic Games. First heat set around the 2:31 in the centre for lane 4. Ailsa Timoney of Warrender. In the outside lanes, you've got Regan Doig, who had success yesterday in her event, and Hope Gordon in lane 9, the 2 multi-class swimmers in the field. 200 IM then. Give us a picture of it, David.
Yeah, well, these guys all are in the middle of the pool, all around the 2:30 mark. They'll be looking maybe to get under there. As you said, Drew, the 2 multi-classification event athletes in the outside lanes. So they'll be looking to post qualification times today. difficult thing to do for the multi-classification events. Got to swim their own race, got to get used to doing that. It's very difficult, nobody around you to pace you.
So individual medley, of course, fly, back, breast and freestyle. And on the shorter distance, of course, the switches from stroke to stroke come very, very quickly. You really got to have your mind focused in on your next challenge, the next stage in the event. Get quick turns and then into the rhythm of the next stroke. And really, you've only a chance to get into the technique of the stroke and build through the 50.
Here we've got Shannon Crawford from Geary, obviously taken after her teammate Hannah Miley, leading us out in this 200 breaststroke. See the strong breaststrokers really starting to come through the back part of this 50.
Well, just to remind you, if you haven't been joining us yesterday, that we're using a 10-lane facility and all 10 lanes in heats and final. Lane 0 is furthest away on your screen or at the top of your monitor, and lane 9 nearest to us. The 2 lanes in the centre with the yellow or golden, we like to think they're golden because most of the top medals come from there, lane 4 and 5 counting from the top. So a good swim in lane 3 from Ellie Shilliday of Stirling. Really positive. In on a 2:32. Multi-class swimmer over there in One Regan Doig. Looking at a 2:37 nomination time. Oh, right, in there. Good touch. So we're still looking at lane 9. The swimmers are patiently waiting on Hope Gordon, SM9 from Stirling. A real challenge at the qualification time. Nice if the crowd could give a little cheer, wouldn't it, Dave?
Definitely. Got to get right behind her. She's got to work all the way into the wall here.
Brings it home. Well, we're just having a little hesitation at the moment. The giant monitor and timing facility not being shown, so we have little or no idea just what those 10 times were. And we're getting an announcement from the PA that this is the problem. So second heat having to wait, that little gap and hesitation. Yesterday we had a few techniques. Remember, this is a rehearsal event for, well, next week's British Championships starting on the 10th, and then of course the full games through in July and August. So glad these glitches are happening. Don't want them, but glad they're happening now. So the fastest time from the entries, 15-year-old Lauren Sutherland of Midlothian, 2:28.7 in the field in lane 4. So a pattern yesterday of a lot of swimmers not making their entry time, and I suspect that that's because a lot of them are short course conversions up to the long course to enter to these national championships. Out well in the fly, lane 8, Anna Fleming, City of Glasgow, but immediately slowing down on the backstroke. You want to keep the tempo up. That's what we're looking for, especially on the shorter IM. Anybody catching your eye, David?
Yeah, real strong fly leg from Anna Fleming from Glasgow there. Turning around about 31 seconds flat by my watch, Drew. But you're right, just dropped off the tempo a little bit on the backstroke, but she's holding it together. Soon see the field start to come together, I think, a little bit on the breaststroke, and then they'll really start to work in at that last 50 on freestyle. a lot of work to do, I think, on these turns for some of the youngsters, especially the back to breast turn. It seems like there's a lot of time wasted.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot, and perhaps that's something that all swimmers and coaches should look at. Certainly know that when looking at European and world, it's the same. You know, you can see the difference between the likes of the American turns against the European, and even the Australians are focusing on that at the moment. Good breaststroke then from Lauren Sutherland. This is obviously where she makes an impact to get down to 2:28.
A very strong breaststroke leg from Lauren there. Really separated herself out from the field. Just needs to keep working all the way into the wall. Still going strong. Anna Fleming seems to have woken up again a little bit after that slightly lazy backstroke leg.
Nice strong finish over in 0 from Eve White of Dumfries. But lane 8, Anna Fleming, 13 years of age, getting into 2nd place there. Lauren Sutherland. So just on her entry time, 2:28. And the swimmers immediately, of course, conditioned to hit the pad and check the giant screen. Not quite ready there, but we'll try and put in a supplementary here between David and myself. Heat 3, 4 and 5, seeded heats, so the 3rd fastest entry time. Kimberly Boyce of Belgium, the club Viamse, is in lane 4 for this heat. Boyce, short course European medalist, and a real talent. As we move to the faster end of this particular event, we're down at 2:15s, 2:17s, 2:18s on entry. Just see how fast they are on inside the particular meet. The heat's looking for time for the finals. The top 8 Scots go into the A final. The next 8 fastest swimmers, that's foreigners and non-Scots, go into the B final.
Kimberly showing her class pretty early on, turning around about 28 high in that first 50. It's a really strong first leg. Again, just maybe dropped off the tempo on backstroke, just a fraction, but still looking strong. Take a look at the turn, Drew, see what the Belgians are doing. So you can see a much more deliberate turn, a much more practiced turn. Turning slightly onto the side, that's legal as long as you don't turn too much so that you're beginning to be onto your front beyond 90 degrees.
Yeah, the laws of backstroke apply until you get into the next stage of breaststroke. Taking it pretty easy on the breaststroke, Boyce, and coming back hard at her, as Sally Wood have warned her, the 23-year-old. It's a really nice attack on the breaststroke. Obviously, a pure strength there inside the medley.
Yeah, really nice high tempo there from Sally Wood in the breaststroke. Beautiful breaststroke technique. See how much that strong breaststroke leg on the medley seems to separate the field out.
The medley, of course, and the heats in general. Heat 3 is the first of the seeded heats, so there's a little bit of decision making to be made about how fast you think you have to swim to make it into the final. And at championships, of course, everybody's trying to go fast, and in the heats there are some that can expect to go into the final, but they've still got to do it. And we saw some surprises yesterday. So decision making, very important part of it in terms of how fast you go.
Yeah, around about 221 low there for Sally for the win in that heat. Still issues with the scoreboard, but these swimmers are going to have to be able to deal with all kinds of things and focus on the race.
Heat number 4, Rachel O'Donnell of Carnegie, a contender for the team in this event. One of 4 swimmers that have potential to make the qualifying time, 2:14.95. The entry on 2:15 flat for Rachel O'Donnell, so she's knocking on the door of that nomination spot, and definitely means business on the butterfly, that's for sure.
Yeah, she's not messing around here at all. She's really getting out there and going for it. That's what you need to do as well in the heats. You can't leave yourself too much to do. You've got to build a bit of confidence off the heat swim. Great underwaters in the backstroke there, Drew.
Yeah, good link into the back, fly to back. Don't want to be under too long because obviously oxygen very necessary for the tough event over all the 4-stroke disciplines. But just drifting to the left-hand side there. Backstrokers obviously, indoors or outdoors, have a slight problem staying straight, especially if you're very strong in one arm. So good change into the breaststroke and a very positive drive, low in the water compared to the technique of Sally Wood in the previous heat, but still getting that drive from the legs and maximising the distance. Good tempo.
Yeah, real nice tempo. Really nice catch at the front end of the stroke. You can really see her holding the water really well and getting a lot of distance with each stroke. She needs to keep working though. We want to get close to that kind of 2:15 barrier in the heat swim. That'll give her a lot of confidence going into the final to make that qualifying time tonight.
Lane. So, good battle for second place between Emma Smith and Orla Adams. Again, Orla from Geary, the club of Hannah Miley. But, well, from a real business-like swim this morning on day 2, Rachel O'Donnell of Carnegie. And 2:17, that's a nice pitch. 2:15 entry, 2:17 point time. And, well, the medley has a tradition and history of having a much bigger drop than lots of other swims from heats to finals. Still a big ask to get under the 2:15, but a really good swim in the morning from Rachel. Now, heat number 5. Normally they would know what's going on, and sometimes the information doesn't get through unless they're checking scoreboards and monitors and call rooms, etc. So they're really got to be focused on their program, their plan for this event. You've got Maaike Ramal of Viamse from Belgium in 2, Alice Tennant in 3, Hannah Miley in 4, Emily Jones in 5, and Fiona Donnelly of Warrender in 6. It's class field as far as Scottish squad swimmers are concerned. And you can see that those 5 in the middle, well, they're ready to race.
Yeah, all on the line here. Turning just under the 30-second barrier. Hannah starting to show a wee bit. You can just see how she keeps her tempo just a little bit higher than the others into the backstroke leg. So she swims 4 really, really strong legs.
The 200 IM, of course, long course is also a good event for Hannah, although she often gets outpowered. And when you move down to short course 200 IM, she's definitely outpowered by the bigger, stronger, just not only in power but in reach as well. But there again, the back to breast, it's where the skills and the technique count. She took another metre or so off the field. The field contain Emily Jones and Alice Tennant, and you know they are potential prospects in this event, according to sources within the heart of the Commonwealth Games team staff. So breaststrokers moving through very strong. Good swimming 5 from Emily.
Yeah, just a little long into the wall there, Emily. A little bit wasted her time coming into that turn, but she looks pretty strong coming into the last leg onto the freestyle. Hannah just stroking it out into the lead. Never wastes a swim though. We mentioned that yesterday, Hannah. She never seems to waste a swim. Always tries to learn something from it. This is a strong effort from Hannah.
2:15. So again, I think this is another point to raise for young swimmers and young coaches. It's about good rehearsal, and if you want to swim as fast as 2:14 point or better, you really need to do a little dress rehearsal in the heats and tell the body where it's going to go.
Yeah, you really can't afford to go too slowly.
You get a quick view of the whole of the event times, and they'll come back and they'll show this. Well, they did come back yesterday and show the summary for the A finals and B finals, but still rolling through the times as the officials get ready for the next event, the men's 400 freestyle. So Hannah Miley at 2:15. 10th place going to Caulfield at 2:23.1. In there, of course, Belgians, so you can take them out from the A final. 2:18 for O'Donnell, that's a nice swim. Jones in there, so the potential nomination for the games on this event nicely in place for the A final. You can see there the top 10 times. Orla Adams 2:22 doing well. Fiona Donnelly, Alice Tennant with the asterisk, meaning that they are Anglo-Scots. They train in England, but they are Scottish by the criteria, and that's very important. So we move to the 400 freestyle, and we have a first heat of multi-class. And then we have 5 heats of the able-bodied, moving right through to a very tight line-up in heat number 6. You know, getting a chance in the heats, isn't it? It's strange when the seeding does this to you.
Yeah, that's going to be a real interesting one. Stephen Milne against Robbie Rennick in that 400. Robbie obviously very experienced, but Stephen up and coming. I think that's going to be one to watch tonight.
So in the multi-class, when they swim together, but of course there are special tables to calculate the points that they get for their swim performance, and that helps to sort out the rankings in a mixed event. So underway now for the men's 400 freestyle. The Scottish record, of course, is a very long-standing time, 3:46.73, now a couple of years old. Robbie Rennick doing it in Fukuoka. Of course, success has come his way in the 200 event, and he was mentioning that in the poolside interview at the end, just that you'll see how he's reacting after the disappointment of the 100. But I'm sure that's tempered with the fact that the 100's not his specialist event. Yeah,
well, you'd be interested to see how he goes in the 400, see where his endurance is at. I would say at this point it's probably a better judgment of where he's at the 400.
Well, remember, keep those tweets coming. Hashtag SGNC 2014. This heat 1 is multi-class, and of course it's actually their final heat declared winner. You can see the arrowhead because of the entry times. And in this heat, you've got Adam Donaghy in lane 1. Remember to count 0 at the top of your monitor, right down to 9 for the lanes. So Adam Donaghy, South Lanark. Craig Smith, 5 performance. Oliver Carter, 5 performances in 3. James Clegg in 4 for East Lothian. Fraser Kane, who took a gold medal yesterday. North Ayrshire. Cameron Cox, South Aberdeen. Adam Scott, 17-year-old from Highland in 7. 400 freestyle. Times ranging from 4:21 for James in 4 out to about 6 minutes plus for Adam Donaghy in 0.
Yeah, James Clegg leading us out here. Visually impaired swimmer. He's a brother of Paralympic sprinter medalist in the athletics, Libby Clegg. So obviously a very sporting family. Sporting a big beard, James. Don't know whether he's going to shave that off for his favourite events this week or whether he's just copying his coach, Matt Trodden. Looks like a caveman.
A lot of people do ask about the shaving process and you know, how often does it work, in fact?
Yeah, I would say probably for most guys become more apparent, particularly now that we're back away from the suits, you know, the full body suits. Those obviously did away with a lot of the need to shave down, which is something that swimmers will probably do maybe once or twice a year. I would say it's more a psychological thing, and also there's a big proprioceptive part of it, which is, you know, you're not just shaving off the hair, you're obviously taking away some of the skin, and you can really feel a big difference when you dive in the water. It's a massive proprioceptive difference. Feels very, very smooth, feels very, very fast, feels like you're just slipping through the water. Most guys, I would say, most guys and athletes will be going probably twice a year, I would say. At the expense of all the other athletes making fun of them. It does make a difference though.
Yeah, you're saying the difference in terms of proprioceptive, it's about the feel?
Yeah, absolutely. You get a real enhanced kind of feel of the water as you dive in, and it really, really makes a big difference. I think majority of it is probably psychological, but certainly, you know, most of these guys when they're shaving their face, shaving their heads and their whole body, same for the girls, they'll be doing that at a couple of key points in the year where they'll really, really be focusing on going very, very fast.
Okay, James Clegg then, just working through this 400. Nice length on the stroke. It's a really nice tempo. He seems to have settled into that. He could probably go for much longer than the time for the 400. Looking very comfortable indeed. Obviously the 400, once you move to that distance, you have a different balance and shape between speed and endurance.
It's always very interesting listening to James's coach talking about how he coaches him. Obviously, because visually impaired, he can't always see him. He can't always see his body language. He has to investigate other methods of communicating with him. It's a very interesting thing. Very smart athlete though, James. Very committed.
So just picking it up a little bit as he moves into the finish. 4:38, entered on 4:21. And the rest of the field very spread, of course, over this multi-class heat, but all working really hard. You can see that this is a tough event, the 400 freestyle, and really digging in. A nice battle here in 3. Oliver Carter, Cameron Cox in. Cox gets it, 5:11 on the touch. Still 3 swimmers yet to complete. Remember, you've got to look at the entry time. You've got to think about their class within the whole of this section of sport. Digging in, Craig Smith over in 2, entered on 5:27, 5:37. So the 400 proving to be a real tough event to click in with entry times. But as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of short course conversions used for entry. Although there's more exposure to the extra long course facilities when you swim short course and it's faster and you convert up, it can just give you a little bit of a false reading. And the field now just patiently cheering on. That's good. That's much better for Adam Donaghy. 13 years of age, in lane 1 for South Lanark, category S8. 6:06 entry, 6:18.93 finish time. And there you are, just to prove the point. Clegg with a faster time, but of course, got to be worked out. And the results come in points for him, and that'll come later on as we move on to the main event for able-bodied, the 400 freestyle. Much anticipated. Always an exciting event because tactics can apply in the 400 and changes are possible in terms of the position you are in the race. So it just makes it a little bit more interesting than some of the shorter events where top swimmers headed up from the starting signal onwards. Okay, we're underway. No swimmer in lane 2. The rest of the field complete. And Scott McLean from Perth, the 14-year-old, has a 4:17 on this event on entry. And we'll just see how the 400 freestyle is unfolding here on day 2.
Yeah, strong start from the centre of the pool, Scott McLean. Looks nice and long and smooth though. Double breathed into the wall. Wants to watch that. Good long underwaters though. Just wants to keep that tempo, but he's really taking the race out. That's the way to do it in the 400. You can't wait too long. You've got to swim your own race, but you can't wait too long to see what other people are going to do and be too distracted by what's happening around you. You've got to have a plan and follow it.
Yeah, you start looking for other swimmers and see how they do, then your attention is off your own swim. But all the swimmers, even in this heat 2, swimming at 4:17s. Remember, we will come down to round about the 350s, and all the swimmers looking nice and long. Nobody panicking at this stage, and just keeping a really long stroke on the 400 freestyle.
Yeah, James Lauder's made a bit of a break here. He's just kept his tempo going a wee bit more than the other guys from the start. Sometimes you find that you set a tempo and then settle down just a little bit too much. James has kept a really nice tempo. He's leading us out at the halfway stage.
Yeah, yesterday we were talking about the 1500 and how the first quarter, first 400, they're just settling down to the rhythm they want, the pace they want, and then they're taking in the information about how they feel in the water and how their body is reacting to this next swim. And you can just squeeze that right down and make a miniature version for the 400. Getting that first 100 out the way and then trying to do a couple of good building blocks in the middle, and then hoping that you've still got energy and a little bit of fight and spirit at the end of the race. So, you know, often referred to as a bridge swim, where the first 100 is fast because you've got the dive and the early adrenaline, and then you've got the middle section where you're consolidating, and then you're trying to come home fast at the end. So it just looks like a little bridge when you draw that out. But good swim then from Lauder in the heat at their level. 4:17 entries. Coming back a little bit, Scott McLean 4. Moving very easily and smoothly, as is in 6 Alexander Bragazzi of the Isle of Man.
Yeah, he's just holding his tempo nicely, James Lauder. Hopefully he'll just be able to hold that rhythm, maybe build a bit more leg kicking at the last 100 to hold his speed. Like you say, Drew, I think what you want to do at any level in the 400 is be able to swim a reasonably even-paced race. That'll go right through for master swimmers, for junior swimmers, for elite swimmers. Even split is a good way to go, particularly for the heat swims.
Now Lauder has been allowed to go, and they're at the centre of the field, just showing a little bit more strength in this last 100. Lauder struggling, the leg kick is gone, and he's starting to move sideways a little bit at the back. He's picked it up as he realised the field has come back at him. Again, Alexander Bragazzi in 6, heading up this final charge.
Yeah, well-paced race from Bragazzi, lane 6, really looking strong coming into the wall. Scott McClay as well in lane 4, really blasting through with his legs. Very, very close.
.4:15 the final time for the leader of heat number 2. A lot to come, but remember they're entered on 4:17, so we hope that that's a definite improvement. You can see there Bragazzi took it just by 13/100ths, and Scott McClay in a fast finish, 2nd place on 4:15. Then you're out to 17, 18, 19s, and then starting to hold entry times. But nice racing in heat 2. An over-the-top start. Allows the meet to go a little bit quicker. These are long days for everyone involved, and any time that you can save is certainly going to be much welcomed. Heat 3 in lane 4, Gallican of Tigers. That's for a club in Jersey, the 22-year-old on a 4:15.
Yeah, he's gone out very strong. JJ Gallican really wants to set out his own pace for this race. He's clearly attacking it from the front. Joe Steele looking nice and strong on his shoulder though. Really nice long balanced stroke. Breathing every 3 strokes. Just on the shoulder of JJ Gallican.
They'll look at the split time, a strong 58.83, and the field are going with him. Lane 3, Ross McDonald of Ren 96, the only one that's really drifting off the race pace. The Arrowhead, of course, because of the allocation of times, but they're all around the 4:15 to 4:17 mark on entry, and that's certainly what they want to improve on.
Yeah, he's really not backing off here. JJ is really going to go for this. He'll be just over the 2-minute barrier, I would say, probably around about 2:02, 2:03 flat maybe at the halfway split, which is very, very fast considering the entry time of 4:15.
Well, of course, there's a mixture of ages. A lot, only one young swimmer, Ryan Retson in lane 9, the 13-year-old from First. They're going through in 2:02 as predicted. Now comes the challenge. For me, watching over many years, that 3rd quarter of the swim is always the difficult point, and it's often where races are won or lost, or times are secured or slipped through the fingers. It's a very tough. The first 100, it's all about nerves and excitement. Second 100, you're consolidating, and then suddenly you realise, hey, I'm in a 400. I've really got to focus and work hard, and it's the fatigue starts to, knock on your door.
Yeah, I would say at this stage you really want to encourage your athletes always to aim for small, consistent progress. Sometimes you see You see some of the swimmers just trying to do too much too soon and aiming for huge drops on their personal best times. Still going really, really strong here, JJ Gallican. He'll be very, very close to the 4:10 marker here if he keeps this up.
Yeah, just starting to tire a little. You can see the rhythm of the stroke has just become a little more interrupted. Still strong though, and a very committed swim. Great line across for second place. You can just see it to the left there behind you on the swim. It's a real battle between 6, 7 and 8. That's Hartles, Curtis and Fisher on this heat. And of course the summer over in 2, Cameron Muffet of Windsor. But it's been JJ Gallican right from the beginning. She is starting to slow down, but if a 4:15 is his converted or personal best, he's certainly going to do damage to that this morning.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be around about the 4:10 barrier. Hopefully, be able to nick under it. Very strong all the way from the start.
So 4:10s, and you can just see that tight finish for second place. 100 separating 4 swimmers on 4:16s.
Just get the feeling, Drew, that 4:10 could have been a 4:08 if he just backed off a fraction at the start.
Yeah, well, you can tell that third 100 just seemed to pay for him. So over the top start. Sorry about the times on that one, but it was a 4:10 and a block of 4:16s. Heat 4 then, the first of the seeded heats. In here, James Black of Warner, a 17-year-old, already with a 4:10 entry time. Time's gone out to 4:14. See, you've got Reid of Warner, Deans of Glasgow, McGregor of Dumfries, Josh Booth from Warner and Anglo. Then you've got Black, you've got MacArthur of Stirling, Laurie of First, Miley of Geary, Wellstead of Warner, and Ross Hughes of North Ayrshire in 9. No Summer in 3, just my error, not seeing that he's not here this morning. Now, all going out very similarly on the first 100. Again, just trying to settle into the rhythm. Slightly faster tempo and therefore in the lead, but will that cost him later? The swimmer in 2, Cameron Muffet.
Yeah, just breaking under the minute there. Looking nice and strong and long though. Doesn't look like he's working too hard for it. Scott MacArthur in lane 5 from Stirling. Brother of Duncan MacArthur, triathlete. Obviously another athletic family. Callum Laurie from First, from Falkirk. Really beautiful looking stroke. Hopefully he'll be able to build through and use that efficiency it looks like he's got. Really long, nice stroke.
So David McGregor of Dumfries, the 15-year-old. Is this inexperience or is this just how he is prepared for the meet? In 4, James Black moving up on the 200 mark, just trying to break away from Scott MacArthur. Going through in the same split time as the previous heat. Now, let's just have a look at this third 100 and what happens. You can see that Black is slowly moving away from the pack and starting to stalk down McGregor, the early greyhound lead in this 400 heat number 4. Remember, they don't know how fast they have to go to make the final. They're not swimming flat out, that's for sure. They're trying to pitch this right so they get another evening swim on the day 2 finals.
Yeah, looking really, really good here, David McGregor from Dumfries. Really kept his rhythm, kept his tempo. This part of the race for me is all about just holding that rhythm together. It'll give you confidence though every time you look over and you've got clear water, you know. When you see those guys start to fight back at you, quite often that can be when you really start to hurt.
Well, he's taken this by the scruff of the neck. 3:06, it's almost the same. So how strong is he at the end? He's picked up that stroke rate a little bit. And Black and MacArthur, although they're heading the pack in the middle of the pool and expected to win here, it's a lot of water to make up. Remember, even if they get up beside him, McGregor's got the advantage of being able to pick up off that. Not enough water, is there, David, to catch him?
No. He's too far ahead. Scott MacArthur just showing in second place, though. Those guys down this back 50 are going to be breathing, looking at each other every time they take a breath, so it's going to be a real battle for second place.
A fight over in 0 and 1. Callum Reid and Mark Deans almost catching the centre of the pool in this last 20 metres. But it's David McGregor who's taken absolute command of this heat number 4. It's a 4:09.87. Just a very slightly stronger finish than JJ Gallican. And Black in a 4:12 took the best of the pack, the following pack, as they headed in there in a very tight finish. 2 in the middle and 2 over in lane 0 and 1. There's the times then. Coaches and parents can quickly scribble down the times. 3 on 4:13, right out to a 4:26. But it was McGregor's swim in that 4:09.8, and that leads the 400 at the moment. Heat 5 then. Price, South Main, Wallace of Warrender, the Florida-based Scot representing Warrender. Suleiman Butt seems to be here, not listed. Angus Barr, Chris Lowther, Van de Straat of Viamset of Belgium, Oliver Betout of Loughborough, Gifford, Donaldson of Tigers, and Berryman of Swim Ulster. So they've seen a 4:09 being posted. Their entry now is dropped right down to very close to the magic 4-minute barrier, the first major barrier. So now we're seeing some of the cream of this entry for the 400 in 4.
So Stephen Milne leading us out. Already done a qualifying time, achieved that yesterday in the 1500. He's fast in the 100 as well, so I think this will be an interesting one, just to see where he's at on the 400. He'll be playing this tactically though. He'll want a solid swim, but he'll want to come back and have plenty of energy to really have a good battle this evening.
Good spot, David, thank you. A little bit of shuffling in the 400, and paper doesn't match the field, so we're going off the scoreboard. Stephen Milne, well, a lot of relief off the shoulders, so even although it's a tough ask, 15 coming to the 400 the next day. Remember, we've seen 2:02 at the split. That's a 1:57.94 for Milne going through. You know, the relief and the bounce and confidence of making the team nomination, and you know, that can refresh you immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I think that'll be quite an easy split time for Stephen. Just doing a little bit of work. You can go a little bit slower than your maximum speed that you're going to aim for in the final, but let me tell you, it's not easy. It's still hard, it's still a lot of work. Sometimes it can actually be seem a little bit harder, you know, just to not really be fully committing to the race. It just seems a grind all the way through. Martin Kremen really coming through strong in this 400. a little bit short for Martin, the 400, I think. Very, very unlucky yesterday in the 15. Missed the qualifying time by less than a second in a 1500, which is nothing at all.
Yeah, well, nothing at all, but an absolutely huge disappointment, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, he'll be gutted with that. But as I spoke to him about, you'd be much more pleased to miss something like that, but at least have an outstanding performance rather than just to underperform on the day. That's when you're really not happy with it. He's looking really strong and fit, and he's racing really fast, so hopefully he'll be able to get it together next week.
The field containing some top swims, of course, from Surgelus and Van der Straat of the Belgian group from Viamse. Kremen coming back a little bit in the last 50, but Milne, again, good professional swim, as you would expect. He is a great competitor, a hungry competitor, but you've still got to come out and put in a professional performance. A nice 3:58. And that heads the meet up at the moment. 4:01, the nomination time 3:51.96. So, you know, if they're going for that, it's a big ask. So the results, well, the Summers just completed the event, just waiting on confirmation of all those, and well, a 3:58.05 heading up that penultimate heat in the 400. And Milne been taken away from a swim against Robbie Rennick. And you can see that Kremen was in good form there for second place on 4:01. And then we're out to 4:03s and 4:05s. Some easy swims this morning, I think, from the Belgians. They're fresh off a Tenerife training camp, so maybe the 400, but difficult on day 2. So final heat, you've got Wallace, Barr, Porteous, Hamilton and Rennick in the top half. You've got Lewis, Smith, Donaldson, Lowther, Butt and Price in the second half. Now back into action. Suleiman Butt not swimming in lane 8, of course, as Rennick, beautiful example of middle distance freestyle swimming on his shoulder. The same competitor as Milne in the 1500, showing he had form and he had determination, and delighted to make that time. And again, the shackles are off him to relax and enjoy the racing here, because that's what the difference is between training and competition. It's about racing people and getting all your skills together, and it's just the ultimate, you know, excitement and the end of a long, hard road for the summer.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that. Craig Hamilton will be relieved to get that 1500 metre qualifying time. I think today that could make him a pretty dangerous competitor. The 400 will seem like a sprint in comparison to the 1500.
Just going with the leaders, it's Cameron Donaldson, 17-year-old from Jersey Tigers. But as you come to the halfway mark, remember the splits that we've seen, 2:02 down to 57. And watch this turn. There's the drive, the long extension. Head breaking out about 7 meters. So using the push, because when you push off there, you're actually moving it faster than swim speed. And if you can use your legs, a couple of butterfly leg kicks before you break into the freestyle leg kick, then again, you're just eking out everything from the turn. And it's something that certainly my co-commentator is pretty enthusiastic about.
Yeah, definitely. We see Robbie really putting in a solid swim here. They could play this a lot more tactically. I think. If he wasn't really up for doing something this morning, I think he'd be a lot closer to Lewis. He wants to keep that clear water and keep moving. Such a long stroke. You see him coming under the flags. Only 3 strokes in that 5 metre. Be interesting to see what he does in this last 100. Probably be looking around about something at 356, 357. Second, third and fourth place pretty tight. Lewis Smith showing a little bit. Dan Wallace out in lane 0, top of the screen.
Wallace, of course, just came back off a silver medal in the tough NC2A programme, and came across and immediately into competition, so he's banking on his fitness and is racing from those championships to bounce on to these championships. It's a risk, but well, another chance in phase 1 next week at the British Championships, if there's a space in the event, and if he has entered that and covered himself. As Rennick brings it home in 356, Lewis in second place with 358, and Hamilton in 359. So again, good to get under the 4 minutes. Not a full rehearsal if you're looking at 351.96. I'm not sure that he could attack that kind of time. But good preparation for a 200 swim. Here's good, nice, fast heat, then into the final. So Rennick 356.1, Milne 358.05, Lewis in third place there with a 359. Hamilton 359, sorry.
So you can see Robbie finishing really strong here. 356 is a good sort of 9-10 seconds off his personal best time, but it wasn't an easy swim for him. It's never an easy thing to come in and swim a 400 metre heat. So the rest of his day he'll be looking at swimming down, doing a bit of recovery exercise, make sure he can bring himself back down to level, refuel, have a little snooze, and he'll come back and it'll be a great battle tonight.
The next event up, the women's 100 breaststroke, as we catch the summary of the event. Hamilton on 359. Dan Wallace finished with 359.3, and the top 5 men under 4 minutes. Here's Robbie Rennick then, just putting in a rehearsal and a practice. It's a long way away from 351, the qualifying nomination time. But who's to know what his real target is here, having that disappointment from yesterday's 100. Maybe he'll look at the 200 really as the main event, but to get good practice at racing and pacing on the 4.
Really think he'll be looking to break the 350 barrier for Robbie. I think anything over 350 this evening would be a disappointment to him pretty much at any point in the season, Drew.
I would have, you know, if he was trying for that, do you think that swimming a 356 is the best preparation for it?
It depends what he's got in his mind in terms of his tactics, you know. I think he could have swam a lot slower, to be honest with you, and still have been in a position to get into the final and go again this evening. But it remains to be seen. It's difficult to tell.
But these guys want to be in lane 4, you know. So he saw a 358 from Milne. He's obviously responded, and maybe you're right. Maybe he's just doing enough to make sure he's in lane 4.
I would think so. I would think so. It's difficult to predict. It remains to be seen, but I would expect him to be under 350 barrier this evening.
Well, that's a tough target you've set him.
Yep.
Although, as I said earlier at the top of the programme, you know, the 346 is just starting to get a little bit dated, you know?
Yeah, I think on the world level, you want to be breaking that 345 barrier.
That's what they're doing.
Yep.
Women's 100 breaststroke, Next event up, multi-class heat 1. 5 heats in total. So from 400 freestyle, we're down to 100 breaststroke. From speed, power, freestyle, we're into that slower 100 breaststroke. You wouldn't think so from the effort they're putting in. Kaylee Hago of Stirling in 2. Erin Davis in from Delting in 3. Lara Ferguson in 4. And she's going for a qualifying time here on the 100 breaststroke. The 34-year-old Carnegie swimmer in 4. Watch for her. Reagan Doig, 16-year-old from Perth, took a gold medal yesterday in the freestyle. And April McKee, ran 96, is in lane number 6. So stroke for stroke. Well, classification's gone. It's about racing. And altogether, quite different interpretation, even in the multi-class, but well, real good racing.
Yeah, Lara and Erin, lane 3 in the same category. So 3 and 4, they are racing against each other. Lara have been to a number of Commonwealth Games already.
Well, they were okay to 100 and 75 meters. Now they're split up. Oh, both going for the wall at the same time. 8 100s splitting those two swimmers as they touch the pad in the lead. But remember, it's multi-class and there's a little bit of calculation to go at the end. Now, those in at 126s and 129s, and then April McKee at 139 for her. Again, April entered on 143, so that looks a very good improvement. 126s, 129s for Ferguson. Ferguson maybe a little bit disappointed at that swim. So now we need a little bit of help from the crowd for Kaylee Hago of Stirling, the 15-year-old. 3:01 over there in lane 2.
Yeah.
Just be nice if people would see this and respond. I'd like to get up and shout myself, David, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Get it started.
She's got a lot of work to do to get into the wall and around about the 3-minute barrier in the entry time. So she needs a little bit of support. 15 meters to go. Come on, Kaylee.
Well, it's 15 meters to go, and it's going to be around 30 seconds of fame as she moves to the center of the screen. And just to let everybody see the effort, the determination, the absolute courage of the disabled athlete, not just her, but all of them. And this, to me, is an absolute stereotype of what's required. And a great round of applause for that magnificent effort by Kaylee. 3:10 at the end. You can see there the final times. A 126.8, won it by 8 100s. Davis took that second place. Ferguson at 129 was third in the heat, but the points will sort out the classification 1, 2 and 3. .310 from Kaylee. We're just picking up, as I'm sure you are too, a Scottish record. That effort, magnificent and successful in breaking her own national record. Great swim, Haley. Heat 2 to 5 then. Able-bodied, 100 breaststroke, moving from 119s in Heat 2 down to the single figures, the 108s, 109s on entry. This event, of course, with Militute of Portsmouth, has been rewritten over the last 2 years women's 100 breaststroke. Now some stark, absolutely sparkling times.
Yeah, where do you think that's come from, that progression in the breaststroke times, Drew?
Well, I still think that we're still getting a benefit from the full-time professional training. Obviously, the likes of Melatute, you know, is just a very, very special athlete. Very strong, very athletic, very concentrated, does everything right, eats right, sleeps right, good member of the team. She does all the small things, the surrounding, distracting things, absolutely perfectly. And then she's just so quick off that start. Very powerful underwater. The strokes, you know, it's the same as others at her level, but she's just made the difference in terms of her attitude and approach.
Yeah. That's a good thing for any athlete, that.
So McQuaid in lane 4 with the 1:18.5 entry takes the second heat. Oh no, just slips to second place. Feld gets the touch, 1:17.75. 0.28 between those swimmers. There's the ranking. Coaches and parents can now get a little note of the times, especially in the positions further down. So we try to please, we try to give you that kind of information and feedback. Eventually sorted it out. Heat 3, says Lucy Walkup of Carnegie in 3, Eleanor Spencer of Stirling in 4, Lauren Doughty, Dundee City Aquatics, 15 years of age. They're on the 1:16 entries. And we'll see how it happens. Interesting, that tight shoulder. Haven't seen that for a long time, David. You know, just at the end of the arm pull from the swimmer from Stirling.
Yeah, almost Agnes Kovacs type technique. First at halfway in 35.92.
A line across the pool, it's very tight, 1:16s, 1:17s in this third heat. Starting to pull back, the early leader. Lane 2, Olivia Jackson of South Lanark. Very unusual and distinctive stroke across there. Coming back in the final 15 on the charge. And she's just picked it up. Jackson looks as if she's got another gear in the last 15.
It's often the way it seems. Some of the more powerful athletes really start to struggle at the end of the race.
Well, finish time 1:18.34, so it's nothing special from Heat 3. I'm sure there'll be a round of disappointments there, crowding on the 18s, 19s and 20s. As you can see there, Jackson, McFarlane, Spencer, the 1, 2 and 3, but the times from the entry, maybe just a little bit disappointing for that group of swimmers. So we move to heat number 4. First of the seeded heats, Kerry Buchan of Stirling, the 26-year-old in lane 4. In the national championships, it's the title, but it's maybe secondary in some cases to a qualifying time. We're looking at 1:09.69, the nomination time on the 100 breaststroke. And of course, you've got to do that in the A final specifically. So you need to be in the top 3 and get under that 1:09.69 to get yourself for a nomination. So it's a, you know, very special set of circumstances for the top swimmers. As we see a breakout 50 and 33.46.
It's a quick split actually from Cara Hanlon from Highland. Kerry Buchan, maybe the veteran of this group, very experienced. He's got a little bit of work to do. Coming through now, Kerry, though, looking strong.
She was joking at one point about her being the grandmother of the swims. So Cara Hanlon from Highland still working through. 1:11.85, just under her entry time, but a very positive victory, and that's the most important thing for her. At that age, getting victory, she's lying first in the field. We move to Heat 5. You're talking about a couple of swimmers who can go under the 110. That's the first great barrier of women's breaststroke, getting under 110 for the 100 long course. And here we have Catherine Johnson, one of the potential noted swimmers for team nomination. Clean start. 23-year-old Edinburgh University student has a 1:08.58. Very sharp turnover. Head very steady. Nice high hips at the end of that drive. You can see how high the lift is after the turn, and now you can see the hips coming to the surface as she elongates the body, trying to find the right pickup point on the arm action. Through in 32.16. That's a good split and would put her on course for an 8. But will she ease back a little bit? She just wants to win this and to feel good. Catherine under pressure a little bit in the final analysis. Corey Scott, 20-year-old teammate, just coming up on her shoulder. The rest of the field drifted back in that arrowhead that you'd expect from a seeded heat. So it's the two sprinters from Edinburgh University going for the wall. 109s. So just drifting out of that 32 split a little bit. But again, so 109.69 was the time. So it's excellent rehearsal to do that from the final.
Yes. Yeah, real strong race from Corey Scott there. Catherine, you'd expect that from Catherine. Corey swam great race there to come back and really challenge for the first spot and get under that qualifying time.
So building for a very special final. However, the difference between swimming clean and free and fast in the heats and the tension of the final and demands of the qualification time, that can catch some swimmers out. We hope not. We're looking for a full team. As we watch Heat 6 underway with Hayley Monteith and Katie Armitage from Edinburgh and Hatfield, and Kim Janssens of Viasme of Belgium in the centre. Very strong looking swimmer, very aggressive in her approach. Heat 6 then, 100 breaststroke.
Hayley Monteith really been improving rapidly over this course of this season. Be interesting to see how she copes coming into perhaps a little bit more pressure than she's had before. It's very close to the qualifying time. Personal best of 1:10.0.
Well, the big hat in 6 of Erin Robertson making the difference. The South Ayrshire swimmer really powering it on. Katie Armitage driving for it. The Hatfield 17-year-old. The Anglo-Scot looking to have a go at this time. Centre of the pool then, being left by Katie Armitage in the final. That's a 1:10.17. A little bit slow out on the first 50. Good strength at the back. Maybe that's the practice that she was undertaking there in the final heat of the 100 breaststroke. .110 and 1:11 at the front end. And here we go. 100 breaststroke a couple of times under the qualifying time, so that's exciting for tonight's finals. That's session 6, of course. 17:30 British Standard Time. As you can see the heat order, the Of course, the breaststroke turns and underwater, closely scrutinised. The board not clearing yet. And what we're looking for is that the turn judges are feeding into the referee. And a long pause like this sadly means that there might be a disqualification. Nobody wants it, but that's usually the reason for the delay. And sad to see on the board, Orla Adams picking up that DQ. And there you can see it for yourself. Armitage in 110, Janssens of Belgium 111, Monteith finally with a 112.59. Look good to the 50, and Nitsch needs a stronger finish in the final. So 109's taking us into the final, and seeing that we might be able to place one or two people for nomination on the women's 100 breaststroke.
Really look forward to that tonight, Drew. Just got some tweets coming in.
Good.
We had some from our counterpart that was on the microphone at the last national championships, Andrew Mayer. He says, hello. Where are you, Andrew? Kerry Ann Payne, off to Glasgow today to watch the trials, to watch your teammates. Hope you enjoy the meet. And North Ayrshire, God luck to all competing.
I see.
Not sure about
dyslexic fingers.
Yeah, not sure about the deliberate typo there, but all the best to North Ayrshire. And more from the Swim Ulster guys and girls watching us over there. I hope you enjoy the meet, and all the best to your team.
Thanks, David. And remember how you get a hold of us.
Yeah, hashtag SGNC 2014, Twitter and Instagram.
Well, we move on to the men's 100 backstroke. We have 6 heats. Again, the first heat is the multi-class event. And there's your reminder of the hashtag SGNC 2014. Multi-class swimmers back in: Clegg, Cox, Carter, Donaghy. A busy morning for them. Difficult event, the 100 backstroke. We have entry times ranging from the centre of the pool of 1:14, Stephen Clegg, right out to a 1:46 for Adam Donaghy in lane 9. But across the classifications, good racing at the front. And then everybody else in their own little bubble, I would think.
Yep, like we mentioned, very tough for these guys to pace. There's a lot more variables than there are in the AB races, so pacing and getting close to that personal best time is always a challenge. Another one of the Clegg family, obviously very talented family. We saw James earlier on, and as I mentioned, brother of Libby Clegg, great Libby Clegg, Paralympic medalist in the 100 metres athletics.
So Stephen had a race to the 50, but all on his own, looking for that wall. 1:11.75, entry time of 1:14. That looks like a good day at the office. Scottish record then in 1:11.75, just picking it up. And in lane 8, Matthew Patterson concluding his 100 back, and Adam Donaghy, the 13-year-old, just crashing into the pad there. That's the effort and the concentration. 1:39.2 against a 1:46 entry. So Donaghy also a good swim in the 100 backstroke. Here's the results. That 1:11.75 signalling a record for Clegg. Morrison at 1:13 and Hamilton the 1, 2 and 3. But going to the points table and sorting it out will be our officials, and we'll get a note of that result later on. Super Scottish record within the classification on the 100 backstroke.
It's the 4th Scottish record of the day so far in the multi-classification events.
Heat 2 then starts the 100 back at 102s, 103s. Well, it's a long time to get it under the minute, and then once you're under the minute, the next stage seems to go quite quickly. The backstroke, of course, technically difficult to put maximum strength into the stroke technique. And that very unusual turn now, the rollover, and 15 metres, no one using anything near that, of course, but it's a very special skill, that.
Alex McCallum really attacking this race. Really gone for it right from the start. He's going to hang on. He's going to win this by a mile.
McCallum, 19 years from Loughborough, 103.61 entry time. And look at this, 1:00.43. He'll be absolutely mad he didn't just nick it under the minute. Then you move out from the minute mark, you move out to the kind of matching their entry times, just managing to put into their long course logbook that you know, they have confirmed their particular performance against maybe a short course swim. But that 1:00.43 looking very good for Alex McCallum of Loughborough. At the top end of this event, you're looking at low 50s, 52s and 53s. But it's really hard to get down there on the backstroke, and that minute mark seems to hang around for such a long time for many swimmers. Once they go through it, then it seems that they have a different mindset about the time that they're capable of. Heat number 3. Couple of swimmers just falling off that block there. It is a very difficult gymnastic, physical movement to power back and up at the same time from that position. I've often raised the possibility of a different starting position for the backstroke, because they've changed the blocks for the normal front strokes. Why can't we do something for backstroke?
I think there's something coming in, Drew. I've seen something, new designs of the new FINA blocks. I've got a different setup for the backstroke, but that'll become clearer this year.
Nice turn from Alistair Campbell, but on fire over in lane 3, right up against the lane line. Joe Yemen, sorry, he's just driving into the wall now. He's been under 59.66 by Yemen. He's in on 1:00.57. That's the kind of job that you want. Get that minute out the road.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling though. The first time you can get under there. You see 4 numbers there as opposed to 5. It's a bit of a psychological difference.
So Yemen Campbell instead winning 1, 2 and 3 in heat 3 as we move to the first of the seeded heats. And Rory Lamont of Weston Barton, a 22-year-old, again a potential team member if he can get it all together. Jack Ness swam well yesterday. He's back in for the 100 backstroke. McGovern in 5 from Coast. And we start to look at third fastest entry time of 55.52 by Lamont. So, you know, you've seen them struggling to get under the minute.
Watch out for Rory Lamont, underwater here, lane 4.
Well, we know that Lamont has all the bits of the jigsaw, but often doesn't put them all together at the same time. Very strong in the start and underwater. Really stroke for stroke now, Lamont and McGovern. We'll see if the difference is in the turn. Not taking any chances on the second turn.
Not quite as strong off the second wall as he was off the start. Andy McGovern, big strong lad, really having a great race here.
Really sitting high, looking nice. It's a lovely rhythm to the stroke. The legs quietly under the water, but that arm action, beautiful. And then a nice spot for the finish. 56.95 to win the first of the seeded heats. 56.95 to start the roll at the top end, looking for the finalists. 55.09 is the nomination qualifying time. So I like that. I like that swim by McGovern. He looked good, and yeah, it's a long way down. It's nearly 2 seconds down, but he really needs to work on the start. Very good second 50 coming off a nice turn. So McGovern, Lamont, Ness was the 1, 2 and 3, and that again they're just clearing the information, feeding in. Normally it's much quicker. The rollover turn, of course, can prove a little difficult, and then there's the at the start there a number of swimmers going for the maximum of 15 meters, or 14.98 is probably the best for your head to break, and that's all been cleared. So heat 5 then, and an outing for Craig McNally.
Here he goes, lane 4, Craig McNally. Sometimes struggles with 100 just to get the pacing right. He's often a bit lazy in the first 50, and then just comes off the second 50 and just explodes. You can see he's similar to James Clegg, still got the full beard on. We'll see what he does with that tonight. Probably doesn't want to get rid of it because it's probably taken him about 3 years to grow it.
Obviously you know him well to say these things. Now there's a good example of how that underwater section can pay dividends. Went in second, came out first, picked it up, obviously changed gear. A little bit of showboating maybe for McNally, showing his dominance over this field. The entry times for McNally, 54.65. Again, he's seen a 56 lead the way, and that's what it's going to be for him. A 56 low. So a stroking first 50, and then a very swift second 50, picking up that stroke rate. McNally just showing his authority on the event. Stepped in 58.2 for the second place. McLean with a 58 also, and McCafferty and Sloan both on 58. So good times at the top end of that heat, number 5. In terms of placings, we're looking at 56, 57s. Get into that A final. And it's Ryan Bennett, another potential that's been marked. He's next to Dieter Diekonink of Viamse in 3 from Belgium. Charlie Balderson, University of Stirling, in 5. He's out at 55. Bennett, a 52.9 man for the 100 on the entry time. No swimmer in lane number 1. Josh Booth of Warrender is out. Also, no swimmer in lane 6. Jordan Lamb of Fife missing this morning. Final heat, 100 back.
Yeah, Ryan Bennett, very quick off the start, very effective underwater. 52.97, I believe that's converted from a short course performance. Not sure he swam much under 55, I think is his best time, but still very quick. He'll be looking to get close to that qualifying time this morning. Really strong off the walls, use most of the 15 metres and then really hold the tempo and build into the wall.
Nice link, not quite as far as the 14.5 metres, but nice link to the stroke, the breakout and the link into the stroke. Just being picked up a little bit by Charlie Balderson. But splitting 27, he's certainly looking at a 56 point, but maybe picking up a little bit. Last couple of strokes, definitely showboating. Slowed it down. Sank onto the pad, 55.98, just to prove us wrong.
Yeah, strong swim from Ryan. If I was his coach there, I'd be having a bit of a word with him about that finish. There's no point in swimming 98 metres very quickly and then a couple of lazy strokes. It's just a waste of all that effort. I don't think it was deliberate. I just think he mistimed his touch. See him shaking his head a little bit.
It's a big adjustment though, isn't it? I mean, to know 2 strokes out that you're wrong, I'm not sure. You know, I just thought that he slowed down, he'd done the business and maybe saving a little bit. Not sure he's that class of swimmer, but well, you never know. Sure you'll find out. So the summary going through very, very quickly. But all the potentials, Lamont, McNally, McGovern with a good swim, Bennett, Balderson, all up there at the top end, you can see there. 55.98 leading the way, few 56s, out to 58s. So women's 200 backstroke in smaller countries. It's been a difficult event to move down in terms of times and move up in terms of standard. Just seems to have sat there for such a long time. Heat number 1, Ellie Gallagher of Warner at 15 years of age has a 2:28. Sitting alongside Lucy McGee at 2:28. They're the fastest times listed for this heat. That's what you could expect. Maybe of interest will be the 100 split time against the finish time. No swimmer in lane 7. Emma Mason is out. Caitlin Duffy is in 8. And then across the pool, 5 McGee, 4 Gallagher, 3 Milligan, 2 Laurie, 1 Lees, and it's Kirsty Pitts of Perth in lane 0. Remember, 0 across the top of your picture, and then down to 9 closest to it. So just giving you a strap line of some of the successful swims yesterday. Cameron Brody in the fly, Ross Murdoch. 2 British record swims, 1 to make it, 2nd to equal it. And coming to the 100-metre mark now. You just see it, they're all thinking about that turn, 1:13 at the split. Now, very difficult to do the second half the same speed as the first half. Apart from fatigue, you've got the start to figure in. You've got the early energy and adrenaline that's flowing in at the start of the swim. So we'll just see what the second half is like after that 1:13 split.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about the 200 back. It's a difficult event to get a lot of strength and depth in. One thing to remember for these girls here, though, is that the position this race is, the way it's unfolding, they all just need to keep working, because you never know. There's always an opening to get into those A and B finals. get a chance to race up with some of the best in the country.
Nice rhythm in lane 6. Jenna Lafferty. But it's definitely Lorna Milligan, 2:30. And you can see that for age groupers and club swimmers, that 2:30 long course is the start. It's the barrier to break through. Quite difficult for many, and you can see that some of those swimmers off the scoreboard are still out at 2:35s. Entry times all under the 2:30, but it's still difficult to do. Not sure why the 200 backstroke seems to be a particularly difficult event, and I'm really talking about the women's side. The men's side have certainly moved down, both at world level and at serious club level. So heat number 2 then sees in 4 Tara Hayworth of Lincoln Vulcans, 14-year-old Anglo-Scot. Next in 3, Liea Cross-Seaman, also an Anglo-Scot from Wolverhampton. Rachel Saxon swam yesterday in the relays, swam quite well yesterday in lane 6. Victoria Milburn in 5 for City of Glasgow. No swimmer in 7 on this event, Megan Kerr withdrawn. So the 2 swimmers in 8 and 9 out on their own. Mary Swanson, Jennifer Henderson, they'll have a private little battle out there in the outside lanes. Although it's a very positive start for Swanson. As we get to, you know, now the stroke should be firmly embedded in whatever form and shape they are this morning. And now it's about working.
Lexi Waller going strong at the top from Heart of Midlothian. Nice long relaxed stroke. She's going to spot the flags as she comes under it now. Counter strokes, flip over, tight turn. A few kicks underneath and then back into that same rhythm. Difficult event, the 200 back. So painful. Abundance of oxygen because you can breathe all the time, but it's quite a difficult thing to time that with your stroke. It's not the same as the freestyle, breaststroke and fly events where the timing of your breathing is regulated by the rhythm of the stroke. I think it's a difficult thing to get right.
Indeed, need lots of practice, and you need to know that fact to start with. So 1:13 went right out to the high 20s, and this is a 1:10 split. So if she's in form, she should be able to get about a 27-28, just slowing down ever slightly, getting a little bit of challenge from lane 5, Victoria Milburn, City of Glasgow, and also a strong finish over there in 0, Niamh Ritchie of Warrender coming through at the end, and lane 8, Mary Swanson of Warrender. Good finish, good strong finish relative to this level of performance. 2:26.62 then for Waller, just making it a fairly standard swim. 6-second drop off. Just looked a little tired at the end, but well, 2:26.9 entry, 2:26.6. Right on the button for Lexi Waller there in first place. Swanson and Milburn and Ritchie on 2:27s in a close finish for that second spot. Five heats, so the third heat sees Megan Briggs in 4 of Warrender, the 17-year-old with a 2:12. Probably heading up the Arrowhead if that's the way it falls out. Chelsea Wilson of Ulster in 5. Kirsty Simpson of Carnegie in 3. Just next door neighbours, hoping to spring some kind of surprise on Megan. complete heat in 3. Cunningham, Curry, High, Simpson, Briggs. Then Wilson, Campbell, Hill, Cavins and Smith.
Megan Briggs, probably the fastest athlete in this field. Very steady stroke, very steady head. Just behind Kirsty Simpson at the first turn. Good underwaters from both girls. You can see that, both using the underwater phase really effectively. That's something you'll see as you come through the heats, more elite athletes. Megan holding that very steady rhythm, she'll trained hard for this all year. 200 meter backstroke specialist, Megan. Doesn't like the 100 so much, I don't think. Really favours this as strongest event.
So 31 at the split and 106s. Now 2:12 is the nomination time. So she would have to do a very even split swim off a 6. And we know that is unusual in the extreme.
She just picked up the tempo though. I think it was a pretty steady first 100 for Megan. I think she's just going to start working a little bit. Picked up that rhythm, picked up the tempo a little bit.
Well, that's the place to do it for me. If you can get out nice and comfortably to the 100 and then really concentrate, very, very focused on that third 50, you're going to make a difference to the swim. Still good skills there, David.
Excellent skills. That was obviously a deliberate plan. You know, these guys, as you can see, all these athletes will have a plan. Megan will have sat down with her coach and figured out exactly what it is that she's going to do in the heat. Clear strategy.
Well, I remember a very famous quote I read that had an impact on me, is that plans change after the first meeting with the enemy. So 2:15 off a 1:6. Well, good conditioning, but it's good conditioning when you swim that bit slower in the first 100. To get a 12, she's certainly going to have to pick that up, but in the final, that's going to be much easier to do. So 2:12.08, the challenging 200 backstroke nomination time. A couple of swimmers on the 2:11s, but really it's a tough ask for this level of swims. Heat number 4, it's Kimberly Boyce of Viamse, the 25-year-old Belgian European finalist, European medal winner in 4. Jenny King of Ayrshire, Laura Dawson of University of Stirling in 3 and 5 respectively, and they get a chance to use Boyce as a target. Boyce slow and going up into the ready position. A 2:11.8 entry time from the Belgian. The swim's going out to 2:23 in the outside lanes on entry time. The second Belgian, Maike Ramal, 18-year-old, is in lane 7.
Laura Dawson looking really strong in the first 50. Very strange, kind of lurching stroke, but very smooth, very effective.
Yeah, there's a little bounce in it, isn't there? It's a lovely pickup, of course. Nice, smooth rhythm. See from the side there just how high the head has to be and the arms in full extension. You're in a weak position mechanically, so your technique has to be good. You've got to roll the body onto its side to get the maximum strength and power into the stroke. That rolling turn, drive, angle down, very shallow under the water off the turn, so not getting too much off the butterfly leg kicks that most swimmers will do in there. It's a really controlled swim. Just needs to, you feel that you want to get her to release, you know.
Yeah. Just want to get her just to wind up into the walls and really just go for it. She will be working very hard though. It's often quite deceptive.
Yeah, it's like a singer in a song, and you want to hear the full belter voice, but it's just always under control. Maybe she needs somebody to race as Kimberly Boyce moves up on her hips. She'll maybe sense that a little bit. Out the corner of the eye, you can see the swimmer in the next lane, the arm being lifted on that side, so lets you know that somebody's coming. The rest, it's in the arrowhead formation. In lane 3, Jennifer King in 3rd place. Boyce slipping to 2nd, and the swim is a 2:18 for Laura Dawson at the finish. Well, capable of a 2:13. Qualifying time down at 2:12. For me, it's just a very personal view, but 2:18 is not the way to come at it from the heats. When you've only got heats and finals, you've no semi-final to act as an interim point of change and adjustment. Boyce in 2nd place with 19, and King's time of 2:22 was matched by the 4th place swimmer, the 2nd Belgian in the field. Heat number 5 then, and the last heat of the morning swims. In the afternoon session, the slower heats, a few slower heats in the same events do appear. You get a chance to see that as well if your family member or club swimmer is in that. No swimmer in 5. Charlotte McKenzie coming out of the backstroke. So a lot resting on the shoulders of Lucy Hope then.
Yep. But she's a very well trained, well prepared athlete. She'll enjoy this event a lot. The 200 back, I think it would be up there in our favorite events. The 200 back. She really trying to use the underwater, maybe coming up a little short, but back into that rhythm as quick as possible. I think you're right what you were saying earlier. I think you can't leave yourself too much to do from the heats. You've got to use the heat to build a bit of confidence. Even if you're not quite on your PB time, you can't be too far off it. That's not going to do you any favors at all.
Yeah, the psychological point is you think you're saving energy because you're going to get in the final, but you know, then when you ask your body to do it in the final, it's going, oh, wait a minute, I haven't been here, you know, I'm not going there. So 105 on the split. Now, good. Usually, Hope is very well conditioned. She is very metronomic in the stroke. Chelsea Lawson of Carnegie, the 18-year-old in 3, swimming well, but of course Hope a little bit adrift of the 2:11.5 entry time, and it's Katie Avramova from Ealing, a regular attender at the Scottish Championships, in lane 6 in 3rd place, and Lawson really working hard. Hope seems to have taken her foot off the pedal here.
A little bit, but it's pretty tit for tat. 1-2, very, very close.
Now, Chelsea Lawson of Carnegie entered on 2:14.2. She's really attacked this swim. A little bit of over entry on the arms, that's going across the centre line, but it's a 2:16 at the end of the day. So that'll surprise a lot of people, and Lucy Hope out at 2:17.5, a 2:11 summer. Well, now it's an all or none swim in the final for the identified potential team members. Obviously a slightly weak event in the Scottish programme. You can see there for the finish order. of that heat. It's just been confirmed and released to the board. And the summary, Briggs, Lawson, Hope, Campbell up at the top. 2:15.9. A good swim from the leader. And again, right out to 2:35s, 2:36s at the bottom end of the 200 backstroke. And if you've got a swimmer who has a backstroke potential, then that's an event you could target in the future for the next Commonwealth Games. 200 backstroke. Megan Briggs leads the way with 2:15.99 going in to tonight's finals.
Be interested to find out for Charlotte why she chose not to do that 200. I'd guess it's just a tactical thing to give her a better run into the 100-meter backstroke, but maybe try and find out this afternoon. Hope there's nothing wrong with her, no illnesses or injuries.
Yes, indeed. Because Mackenzie is certainly one they want in the team.
Yep.
So 3 swimmers, Stephen Milne, Kathleen Dawson and Cameron Brodie made the qualifying times for nomination. It's not an automatic entry to the team. Scottish Swimming have to nominate their athletes to the Commonwealth Games of Scotland, and they've put the final stamp on. But the first phase of this Championships and next week's British Championships will see the first batch of nominations. Then into a phase 2, where there are designated meets for swimmers to go to if they want to try for a time, and they can also identify a meet and make the case to go for a swim that fits in with their program and where they think they may manage the team. But they can only go into an event if there's a place available, and well, the early signs are that top up might be required. Next event up, men's 200 breaststroke. Everybody looking forward to seeing Michael Jemison in Heat 5 of this event. Scottish breaststroke with a great history and tradition, and was held up yesterday with the British record in the 50. And of course we've got talent all over the breaststroke event ready to carry on that fine tradition.
It's going to be a great race, 200 breaststroke. We saw Ross Murdoch in the 50. Saw his interview afterwards, and pretty fearless. Ross, really excited to get in and race against people, so I don't think he's going to be playing second fiddle to Michael Jemison in this 200 at all. I think they'll be having a go at him for sure.
That's what we want. It's that competitive challenge that brings out the best of the athlete. And Heat 1 in 4, Ewan Lang, Anglo-Scot from Rushmore, 18-year-old, in with a 2:35.5. He's going out for a good solid split. 1:13 on the split. Well, 2:35. That should be off the shelf soon.
Morgan Berryman in second place from Ulster. All the way from Northern Ireland. Swimming strong in second place, keeping it long. It's going to be a real close tussle for second place here.
Always amazes me after all the many years of watching swimming how this breaststroke can be interpreted by the athlete. Body shape and the application of the principles and the technique, just so many different forms of breaststroke. But this is a very committed swim from Ewan Lang. Heat number 1, 5 heats in this event. 2:35 entry, a 1:13 split, and he's just managing to hold it on. From a 13, you would hope, if he's in perfect condition, that he might do a 2:30, but he's drifted out to 2:34, so maybe needing a bit of breaststroke endurance.
Difficult to tell, always a tactical thing as well. If you just spend too much energy at the beginning of the race to get the speed, it sometimes looks like you don't have the fitness at the end, but it's difficult to tell. Pacing's so crucial in this event.
So there you are, Lings 2:34, Marchbank 2:36, Fenwick with a 2:37. The 1, 2 and 3 for that first heat. Heat 2, over the top start. Nelson of Carnegie. Quinn is a multi-class SB14, 23-year-old in lane 1. Then you've got Anderson of Warrender in 2, Colley of Glasgow in 3, Donny Price, South Main of 17 years of age, 2:31, the fastest time in the heat. From entries, Callum Deans, Elgin, Preston, South Aberdeen, Clough Warrender, Williamson and Stewart in 8 and 9, both from East Lothian. So entry times just being ignored, and good, bright, positive start. Lane 2. Matthew Anderson in the red and white, of course, of Warrender.
Yeah, not much between all the swimmers, lanes 1 to 10 here. A range of techniques, a range of tactics going on. Some slightly more up tempo at this point.
So nothing splitting about 5 swimmers across the pool. Just back at this stage, a surprise maybe from lane 5, and Callum Deans entered on a 2:31, and he's trailing the field but starting to make his way through now. Anderson leading from the first 50. A number of swimmers now starting to stalk through, as Anderson just slipping a little bit of water and coming back onto the field. So could be a good race down the last 50.
Yep, Kieran Preston looking good from South Aberdeenshire. Very consistent technique all the way through. If you can just find a wee bit of tempo into the last 50, make it a good race. Matthew Anderson hanging on though.
Yeah, he's found a second tank of energy, and he's picked it up. High lift at the front there puts a lot of drag on the front end of the stroke, and a natural reaction to pulling in, but slightly exaggerated for me as he gets into his last stroke and stretches for that wall. 2:33 to Matthew Anderson, just on his entry time, 2:32.8. So the rest of the field certainly drifting out badly to some of those times that you'll see in a moment. The Warrender Summers just having a little chat across the lane line as they wait on the swims being cleared. There's a hesitation on the monitor and the times. So again, might be a portent of disqualification. We hope not, but it's likely. Rarely get this kind of length of delay. So looking forward now to heat 3 and the start of the seeded heats, and Ross Murdoch. Day 1, it's a 50 British record. Day 2, you're out at 200 breaststroke. disqualification for George Clough. He went out to 2:47 initially, so might not be surprised at that decision. Anderson, Price and Nelson, the 1, 2 and 3 in that heat number 2. Change of pace now as heat 3 will pick it up. Remember, although it's a 10-lane final, they're all valuable places, and the breaststroke is under pressure from a number of swimmers.
Look at Ross Murdoch, Drew. This is the event that he came from. He's developed a lot of speed, as we saw yesterday in the 50, but originally he was much better at the 200-metre event. He swam 2:12 or 2:13 when he was training with West Dunbartonshire before he moved to Stirling. So he's definitely got some ability in him in this 200. Love to see him getting down to that 2:10-minute mark. Maybe make Michael work for his money. Very steady first 100 from Ross.
12 or 13 strokes over that 50. That is really good, efficient leg power, and the confidence, the delay, the drive, right out to the maximum point where you pick it up on the arms. Now he's putting a little bit of pressure on this third 50. He saw Ross Muir, his teammate, colleague, pal, up on him at the 100. Decided he didn't want any threats, just taking it out a little bit. Remember, he doesn't know exactly what time he has to do. Confident he'll make the final, but how much do you go close? It's 2:14.09. It's well within the compass. He picks it up. Looks as if he's swimming 100 now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be finishing around about the 2:14 mark. Really wound up this last 100. Very, very steady first 100. He's really bringing it home now.
I think he's waving a flag a little bit. 2:13.24.
It's a pretty even split, 200 breast. I think it was 106, 106, or very close to it.
So Ross Murdoch just under the qualifying time, but it obviously doesn't count for anything at the moment other than that internal knowledge that you can do it and you're in shape to do it in the A final.
That type of swim, Drew, is the kind of thing that would really, really worry your competitors a little bit.
Amazing control over the whole thing and the ability to shift. You know, the great Hungarian Daniel Hjorte is an expert at that. You know, just when people are coming up to him, and that includes our own Michael Jimison, he just changes gear. It's like being in the car and just dropping a cog, and the ability to do that, strength, the power, the conditioning in breaststroke especially is something that you just sit back and are amazed at. As we move now to the penultimate heat. Warrender in 3 with Kerr, Warrender in 4 with Benson, and Warrender in 5 with Andrew Rodgie. All capable and identified as potential, but remember there are only 3 places available in the team. So that's what makes the final absolutely extra exciting.
It's an interesting race for me, this one. Andrew Rodgie's had a lot of potential for a lot of years. He's never really got to the level that he thought he could get to. PB of around about 2:15, I believe. Moved clubs to train at Warrender, so he can train alongside Craig Benson, Craig McNally, these guys. Benson A lot of talent, Craig Benson. Obviously qualified for the Olympic Games and world junior medalist. A lot of ability. Just struggled a little bit this year. Not with anything major, I don't think. Just found that point when you start coming to the end of your teens, you know, the plateau. And it becomes harder to make the step up.
Yeah,
Roger looking strong though.
You're right, that's a good point, you know, and you know, being big like him and powerful, obviously they needed to bulk him up a little bit, and you have to adjust to that, you know, you have to accommodate that in your stroke.
It takes time. I think they did do that deliberately. I think it has had an effect on him this year, but I think it's still going to be something that he'll be able to work and develop further from in the next couple of years. Still very young.
Well, Andrew Rodgie then, 25-year-old, sticking into his trade and late on having some success. You look at that 2:15.5, he's entered on a 2:14.6, but that's a 2:15.5. And that's when Scottish 200 breaststroke, of course, took off that famous time of 2:15.11 to David Wilkie in the 76 Olympics, winning the only gold medal by another country, as America took that particular Olympics by storm. The 2:15.11 sat for such a long time, and now it's a heat time for the top end swimmers as we look forward to Heat 6. In the crowd, a chance to see Michael Jimison, Olympic silver medalist, and certainly a great hope for the Commonwealth Games. But there's some fast times just come out of the Australian trials, David, and again, he'll have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, he'll be aware of all those times. He'll be aware of everything that's going on throughout the world. 2:08, still a marker. He came from this pool, remember. This is where he spent a lot of his time as a kid. Getting dropped off here in the mornings, getting the train to his school, and getting the train back to the pool here to train again as a youngster. He's gone all over the world. Silver medal at Olympic Games in London, and now he's back in Glasgow at his home pool where he came from to try and qualify for his home Commonwealth Games. Looking very strong at the moment. He's not messing around here at all.
A very comfortable 1:01. Well, if there was any kind of flag waving from Ross Murdoch, I think it's just been burned down from the flagpole by that 1:01.
Yeah, you can do anything you want with negative splits and come back very strong, but Michael, a very experienced competitor at the highest level.
Jemison representing Edinburgh University. They've 3 swimmers in here, and they're 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. Callum Tate having a good swim on the tail of Michael Jemison. Jemison at 1:35 on the turn. Now just starting to wind it up for the finish. Here he's just holding form, but his form is down at 2:07, 2:08. Just not quite getting the same distance on this last 50. But into the wall, 2:06, 2:07, and a posting of 2:09 in the heats.
Well, it means business, doesn't it?
Very good rehearsal.
Look at Callum.
Absolutely superb pitching.
Look at Callum Tate. Sorry there, Drew. Look at Callum Tate, 2:14.63, so he's going to be close to that QT as well. But I think tonight's just going to be all about the racing.
Well, that's a lovely swim from Michael Jemison to cap off a very interesting meet. Finish order. You can see it there. Jemison, Tate, Quinn, the 1, 2 and 3 for Edinburgh University. Lim out at 2:24. So some power breaststroke coming out of the Edinburgh University camp. Here's the summary, and a chance to see this.
Yeah, went out very, very quickly. Come here to set his stall out, Michael. 2:09. That's a bit of a statement to the rest of the swimmers. He's not playing any games here at all, of just trying to make finals or nothing like that. He's come here to swim quickly.
I think he really wants to test himself. This is the facility for the games. This is his home territory. The crowd will be out tonight, and they're going to see a very, very good race in prospect, both for times and for victory. A 101 and a 108. Certainly practicing that faster split time, I think.
Looking very lean, looking very, very strong, Michael. Obviously been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, he's had his share of niggles, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think they've laid off the kind of, they had a period where they did a lot of races in the World Cup circuit. And I think what his coach was thinking was it was biting into the training a little bit. He was losing a bit of muscle mass. He was starting to get niggles. So I think they spent a lot of time preparing, pretty focused for these trials.
Well, of course, the travels across the world, good for the bank account.
Yeah.
Good prizes now available for these top athletes, and you know, taking a few rounds of the World Cup, that's important. So right, we move now to the women's 50 freestyle, a short event preceding the distance events, a couple of 50s, 50 freestyle for women, 50 fly for men. So the crowd that has been swelled by the youngsters in front of us, they've been obviously given gifts at the door, and part of that gift is the thunder stick, which they bang together, and if you're hearing a background noise, that's exactly what it is. This is the multi-class heat. Laura Pilkington, West Lothian in 2, Hope Gordon 3 for Stirling, Reagan Doig for Perth in 4, Amy McFarlane North Lanark, and Beth Johnson from Best Squad in 650 freestyle. Yeah, entry time 31.56. And really digging in, isn't she?
Yeah, Reagan, really strong swim there, looking to back up the Scottish record that she did in the 100 breaststroke earlier on today, so obviously she's on form.
Yeah, and she picked up a gold yesterday, so she's certainly well prepared. Maybe looking for a little bit faster, but well, remember, classification got to be sorted out afterwards, but that's a good swim from Reagan Doig, Perth City swimmer. Now, we have 6 heats in total. That's heat 1, the multi-class. And we move now to heat number 2, just all adjusting to the 50s. In this heat, all on 28 point. It's the hundreds that separate the entry times. Now, who can convert that or go better? Emily Tang, the 16-year-old from Mulgai and Bearsden, in lane 4, the favourite for this event. Jennifer Henderson of East Lothian, she's been swimming well in the day 1 programme. Be the main challenger. They're in 28.19 in the field. The 21-year-old Nicola Lamb of 5 in 6 against the teenagers. Very good start in lane 3 from Kimberly Mackay. She had the confidence to hold on, and although she was last to start the swimming, she was still up with the field. All in a line in this one.
Yep, coming through strong. Jennifer Henderson, lane 5 from East Lothian. really coming in strong to the wall, under the 28 barrier. Great swim.
27.92 to Jennifer Henderson. Just capitalising on the day one good swims. You just remember sometimes that somebody was swimming particularly well. Henderson cross Seaman. And Gilsum the 1, 2 and 3. 27.28 low. That's what was the expected time, and that's what came out. That's heat 2. Heat number 3. In the centre, Katie Johnson of Fife, a 27.86 entry. In there also, Mary Kate McDowell, Catherine Offer of Inverness on the 27 mark.
A little slow off the blocks in lane 4. All on a line though, very close to 50 freestyle. Can't afford any mistakes. Got to stay relaxed, got to build the tempo and hold on to the stroke length into the last part of the race. This is a real crucial part of the race where the medals are won and lost.
Erin Cummings in lane 8, just taking a little bit of charge, but in the final touch out, 27.69 is only good enough for third. Tootle taking the touch, 27.61. Caitlin Tootle of Coast. McDowell, 27.67. Cummins, 27.69. Heat number 3 of the 6 heats on the programme. Move now to the top end entries. And you see Eloise Barber, University of Stirling sprinter in 4. The third fastest entry time, 25.93. Sees her in the first of the seeded heats. Ramael of Viamsen, Belgium, and Simpson of Carnegie in the centre of the pool. Quick off the blocks. A lot of work in the middle of the pool from Eloise Barber underwater, and she breaks out very quickly into a discernible lead.
Yeah, looking very, very strong. Great start. Just got to work to hold that stroke length and make sure she doesn't spin the wheels too much coming into the wall. Keep the leg drive going, get the head down from now on and just go.
Barber looks to the right, coasts in 26.1, very close to her entry time, and that's what you want, a really good heat swim. Remember, in the top, you get a semi-final, but Barber with 26.19 takes first. Maike of Belgium 27 and Simpson 27.18. 1, 2, 3. Heat 5. Kimberly Boyce, 25-year-old sprinter and medalist from Belgium in 3. Shan Harkin, Stirling, second sprinter with a 25.5 entry in 4. Rachel Masson, South Aberdeen. The start's proving to be a special divider on the 50 this morning. They're all in together, as you can see, but then some swimmers use a lot of kicking and fly. And in lane 2, Raquel Matos of East Lothian came out of an earlier swim, obviously focusing on the 50, but look at those long arms in lane 4 of Shan Harkin, just eating up the distance as she goes for the wall. 25.57. That has got to be a good swim. So, looking for the qualifying time in the final. 25.7 to Harkin. Matos 26.65. Boyce, the second Belgian, 26.68 for third. Well, the swimmers in heat number 6 now know what they need to do. It's 25s middle, 25s high, 26 very, very low if you're going to go for the final. Julianne Siesmans in 4 for Belgium. Can't get in the A final, so it's Lucy Hope, Katie Stark, Caulfield, Highland, Ulster. Can't get in either. So 3 swimmers here in the middle looking for a place.
Very compact swimmer, Siesmans. Not like a lot of the other tall sprinters. Very compact, but very powerful. Very tempo-driven, head very still, driving her legs. Very, very strong.
Yeah, she had a very aggressive swim early on, and she's first to the pad. 26.54 for Katie Stark, though, the best of the rest. So the 50 freestyle, quite sharp on the entry times. 26.04 beats a 26.54 for Stark. Caulfield 26.80. And that's the finish for the 6th heat, and we'll get a summary of that event and have a look at who's at the top end for the Scottish swimmers. And 25.83, of course, has just been snicked under, and that means that there's a real chance that our 50 freestyle specialists could go forward to nomination if we get a repeat swim in the evening. So it's just about doing everything right in the heats and then taking it forward to tonight's final. Sian Harkin, 25.5, the one to beat at the moment.
Yeah. I'd really like to see her getting down to 25 low in that 50. Thought she got a little bit, lost her tempo a little bit into the last 10 meters. If she can do that and get down to closer to 25 flat, that would be a good step forward for Sian. Start trying to fill the boots of the great Alison Shepherd.
The great Alison Shepherd. Now, what club was that again? Oh, Milngavie and Bearsden, yes. Harkin 25.57. Siesmans can't get in the A final. Eloise Barber at 26.19. Another sterling battle at the top of the 50 freestyle. Summers resting, waiting.
So you can just see here, obviously clear water. Just started bouncing a little bit for me though, just lost the tempo a little bit. Bouncing a little bit too much, trying to spot the wall. It's pretty solid, just think she could just attack that last 10 meters with a little bit more tempo.
The two Stirling swimmers are obviously being coached on the underwater at the start. There's a lot of extra work in there, a lot of extra concentration. So it's going to take them a little longer just to get into that, as you say, that top, match between stroke and speed, coming off that kind. I mean, they do get an advantage of it, don't get me wrong, but, maybe it takes them a little longer to get into, their final sprint.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's good, otherwise I'd fire you, David. This is the men's 50 fly. We stay with the sprints. We're going right up heat 5 to a 24.2. We're starting with 27 points from Alec Thompson in the centre of the pool.
All on the line, the big men on the 50 fly, a lot of power. Got Andy Mullen in lane 9. Just at the 25 metre mark. So, looks like lane 8 for me. Johnson, Milngavie and Bearsden maybe. Just lost his tempo. Felix Gifford, 26.66 from City of Aberdeen.
Gifford, 19 years of age, 27.06 entry time. Again, just nicking under that entry time, 26.66. Well, that's an easy one to remember for him.
He's pleased with that one.
Gifford at 26.66 first. Nevison at 26.94. Johnson at 26.96 for third place. That's a good start from heat number 1. Andrew Mullen out at 38.86. He's entered at 39.2, so that's a good swim from the lane 9 S5 classification swimmer. Heat 2 down to the 26 points, and they've just seen 4 on the board, so the challenge has been laid down. This looks like a quick 50 fly coming up. Well, a long underwater section over there in 0 from Stephen Rennick of Loughborough, and it's given him an advantage. It's a long delay on the stroke because to get that power in, you have to wait until the hands catch the water, and then everything goes. Both arms, chest muscles. 25.7 just being touched. 25.67 in the middle of the pool. Jordan Sloan came through in the last 10 metres. And the swim Ulster man at 20 takes heat 2 with that very narrow victory. 25.67. Just went to 3rd. Oh, really good. Dieter Dekonink, sprinter, 23-year-old from Belgium, is in 4 with a 24.5. Starting to just look a little bit swifter.
Yeah, good underwaters from Dieter. Curtis Coulter from Ulster, a lot of speed as well. Actually, at the moment, Dan Scott, big powerhouse from Glasgow, using all that strength. Look at him go.
Yeah, over in 1, Greg Watson of Fife. But in the centre of the pool, it's a very, very power-laden 50 fly, 25.18.
Dan really needs to have a word with himself about that finish there. That was really miscalculated. Sean Campsey almost nicked it off him.
Scott 25.1, Campsey 25.2, Watson 25.6, and a 4th 25 from Butt saved himself for the 50 fly. First of the seeded heats then, setting a 25.18 as the target. And that'll shake some of those that follow. Heat 4, Duncan Scott not swimming in lane 1. The rest of the field complete. Again, it's the Belgium Egan van der Straat in 4 with a 24.4. Mark Schranek of Carnegie in 5. Peter Timmers of Belgium in 3 rather. A really good start down here in 7, isn't it?
Yeah, great start. Craig Houston, lane 2. He's the coach of that team. He's trying to show the young guys how to do it.
You're starting to throw a very narrow towel over the finish, all on 25s at the top end. And Scarpies gets the touch, 25.1. Van der Straat, 25.2 for the 2nd place. And Rivers came through in 25.28 in that tight touch. Schranek on 4th place. So very tight for a place in the A final now. Couple of 24s in the field here, Jamie Graham and Glenn Surgalus. Surgalus can't go to the A final. Jamie Graham of Glasgow, one of the favourites for this particular event. The 50 flies at 24.31, challenging nomination time. So Connor Munn, Josh Booth, Ewan Dunbar, Craig Bowman, and Jamie Graham on the top end. Lane 0 to 4. Glenn Surgalus, Cameron Brody already qualified from the 200. Adam Fall, Matthew Parks, Mark Campbell in the bottom half of the swim on your monitor. 25.18. Well, the 200 yesterday for Cameron Brodie was successful. He's got to now fight against the 50 sprinters. It's in a line going well in 1, Josh Booth. But in the final 10 metres, the power men in the middle coming through. Jamie Graham, Glenn Surgalus on the 50 fly. Surgalus takes the touch, maybe slightly slower than they would want at 24.97, but a good time nevertheless for the Scots at 25.1. Surgalus 24.97, Booth 25.1, and equal was Brodie on the short 50, 25.1. So crowding down on the low 25s in the A final. Somebody needs to break through, but it's a tough one. So rolls through the meet. You can see there the 26s from the first couple of heats just sitting there at the end of the event. That 38.8 though was a personal best time for Andrew Mullen. Don't be fooled. And there at the top, Surgalus out of the A final, of course. So Booth, Brodie, Carpets, Graham all in the A final. Tight racing, but a challenging 24.31 nomination time.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to go some tonight for anybody to get close to that number. Yeah, very close finish. Just spotted the wall pretty perfectly, the Belgian in the middle. Just came through, had the timing of the stroke to come in. Doesn't look like he's actually that far ahead, but when you get the timing of the finish that close, it can really make up to a quarter of a second difference. Penultimate heat, so all coming across in a line. Again, very, very close. Just watch what we're looking for. 5 meters out, see if you can spot the wall perfectly so the timing of the stroke just comes at the right time. It can really make a big difference.
We go from the 50 freestyle to the women's 800 freestyle. So if a cup of tea is in order, it might be now that you think about it. In the early heats, we're going to have 4 heats of the 800, and the 5th and fastest heat will be swum in tonight's final session. And they'll know exactly what they have to do off the times from the first 4 heats. We're starting off with, you know, out at 10 minutes, 9:40s, up to 10 minutes, and then moving our way down, hopefully to break the 9-minute barrier. That's a big challenge, big ask. The fastest heats, of course, should be in the 8-minute mark for the top swimmers. Challenging 8:38.58 for the nomination time. So a lot of work to be done yet in this day 2, session 4 of the 2014 championships. Just got David here looking to see if there's any interesting tweets from you guys out there.
Oh, definitely. A lot of people just checking in on results and wishing all the athletes the best. Peter Hill is up this morning, watching Larne Swim Club, watching the 100-meter backstroke and the 200 backstroke. I hope you're enjoying the racing. Hope you guys and girls are doing really, really well. SNS group, really cool action picture of Hannah Miley in the 200 IM. It's Caitlin. Hi Caitlin. Good luck to all Bren 96 swimmers today. All the best. Jacqueline Brand, good luck SAST. Swim fast, definitely. Joe Wellstead, another really great shot of Ross Murdoch jumping up in the air. Joe says, I think Ross is floating. Looks like it. Craig Barnes, still feeling ill, but a lot better than yesterday. Hopefully back tomorrow. Hope you're feeling better, Craig. Get your feet up, watch the swimming, get a little bit of rest. And Emma Thompson, amazing 200 breast. Wish I was there. Oh, wish I was not training so I could watch the finals. Nah, get to work, Emma. You want to be able to swim and be happy with it. You can't cut any corners, so get to the pool.
Right. Well, that's good greetings from out there. And we look forward to more over the day. The women's 800 freestyle underway. Heat number 1. And just leading in lane 3 then. Eve White of Dumfries, the 14-year-old. Swam well yesterday. And just picking it up. Now, the whole business of 800 swimming, and once you move beyond the 400, it's all about pacing and endurance and being able to keep that technique together as fatigue starts to come into the body. You don't want to get lost in the swim. You've got to keep focusing, know where you are. And although lap counters are used, a swimmer does so much training that they should be able to know exactly where they are. But it's a quick settling down, maybe the first couple of hundred, just to get into the pace, and by then you should be on your swim of the day. Hopefully you're feeling good, hopefully the technique is into place, and then it's just about drawing from the bank of work that you've put in your preparation for the championships. For some, obviously, it's a development swim. Certainly in Heat 1, you'd think it's just another chance to swim long course 800. Very different from short course 800. And just add that experience in and take it forward to the next stage of your swimming career.
Yeah, really challenging thing about any sport, really, is that, of course, it's not always going to go exactly as you want it to go. And really tests your character, you know, when things are not really going as planned. And you can really see that. You could watch a week worth of swimming competitions, and you would see a number of swimmers that are maybe been ill or injured or not been able to prepare and really struggling off their best times, but they always finish. They always finish. You very, very rarely see somebody stopping or giving in before the end, and I think that's a really nice thing about swimming culture. I think the key thing for me as an athlete and now involved in coaching a little bit too is that what do you do when it doesn't go your way? You have to see what you've got, you have to see what you're capable of, and then afterwards, if it's something that you want to do, you have to reflect and learn from it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Sensei. In the race itself, that loping stroke over there in lane 0, Rachel Saxon of South Lanarkshire, the 15-year-old, entered on 9:48. She's just slowly come through the field. Eve White has drifted back. Eve White doing nothing different in terms of stroke technique, but she's losing a little bit of power in the swim. Working very hard in lane 1, Bobby Gregg of South Lanark. Head all over the place, body all over the place. Just needs to settle that stroke down a little bit, as does Rachel Saxon. But that's her interpretation. You often see, you can remember swims in the past where the swimmer swims with breath to one side every 2, and it just looks like a limp along stroke, so one-sided. But what's key is what's happening under the water. Is the hand tracking the right path? Is it underneath the body? So going through in 6:01 and just getting into that rhythm, and you can see that going down the lane line up the wall, it's a carryover from training where you do circle swimming. Maybe doesn't realise that she's got a room of her own over there in lane 0.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it though, Drew, in the outside lanes. Just sneak away from everybody else, slightly out of the mix. Get off and get into a lead and try and hold on to it.
Well, some of the young swimmers yesterday showed they had speed and endurance to win the 4x2. And here we have 14, 15-year-olds driving on the 800. Sophie Dodd in 4. The 9:44.87 is the fastest entry time. Rachel Saxon's out at 9:48.8 from her entry time. And she's going through the 600 mark, working steadily. The feet a little bit extra when she comes back onto center position. When she goes for the breath, the legs are a little bit quieter. The body, of course, is turning and twisting. The legs are not kicking up and down. They're kicking on their side there, and just wants to, just shows good conditioning though. Really working hard. You can almost see the effort in the face as she turns to breathe, mouth gaping for that vital oxygen.
Yeah, keeping the stroke nice and long though. Must be a lonely one, breathing to the wall on the way back down. Can't see anything except from the advertising boards. Just keep working. 100 meters to go. She'll be glad to see the last turn and really work for home.
Well, if you can read the advertising boards, you're not focused on your swim, David, so...
You'd be surprised what you can see.
Oh, no.
Pick people out of the crowd sometimes.
That wonderful injection of relief as you hear the bell with 100 to go. You can almost sense the pickup from Rachel over there in lane 0. The left arm very close to the surface of the water as she brings it forward. It's straight, it's roundhouse. And then the right arm bent high to leave room for the head and the breathing to the right hand side. She digs in. A little pickup also from the centre of the pool, Eve White. But nothing much has changed. The field was spread after about 200. And it stayed that way. Eve White did the early work up to about 350, 400, and then Rachel Saxon took over. 9:18, 9:19, 9:20 with 25 to go. 9:48.8 the entry time. Good little swim. Just got to get it in now. The last few strokes. 5 meters. Head down. That's a girl. Get it in. Yeah, well done.
Great swim, Rachel.
Nice big chunk off the 800. Great effort from Saxon of South Lanark there in 0 to win the first heat. Trailing swimmers including Gemma Brown in 5, the 15-year-old. Well, not a happy day for her. Entered on 9:44. The winner only at 9:38, so let's just hope it's a little bit out of sorts. Here's the winner, Rachel Saxon. Job done, starting the recovery already. And Saxon 9:38. Bobby Gregg 9:45 for second. Eve White ended up with 9:45.46 in that tight finish to third place. Heat 2 then. No Summer in lane 4. Eosa Timone of Warrender is out this morning. And No Summer in 0 either. Natalie Lees has not appeared. As the meet unfolds, of course, injuries, illness, little problems, niggles, maybe an injury in warm-up. All these things can affect the draw. So your lineup then is Sophie Green in lane 1 for Elgin. Lorna Milligan in lane 2 for Nova Centurion. Very famous club down in Nottinghamshire, Nova Centurion. It's given that name because the person who started the club was Neville Cross, and he liked his initials, so he called the club Nova Centurion, NC. Here's a little factoid. Yes, it is true, yes.
Good old Neville.
Good old, some say good old Neville, yes. Catherine Lithgow of Warrender is in 3. No Summer in 4. Nikki Miller, South Lanark in 5. Jennifer Davis, University of Edinburgh in 6. Robin Patrick, South Lanark in 7. Erin Rafferty in 8 for Carnegie. And Zoe Scott, City of Glasgow, the 17-year-old, is in lane 9. In the second of 4 heats this morning. Heat 1 already with a 9:38 on the board. These Summers entered in 9:31 in the middle, out to 9:38 on the outside. So it should be faster, but again, what happens in the 800, especially at this level with teenagers and at this level of swimming, is just that it spreads out and you lose the race effect. Hardly anybody on your shoulder. So it's really a bit of a timed swim in your own lane against your previous best. Early on, lane 6, Jennifer Davis, Edinburgh University, the 22-year-old, against these young whippersnappers, the 14 and 15 years of age. Summers. Just sorting it out, not having her position of age and wisdom usurped by these terrible teenagers. How's she swimming, David?
Yeah, very well. As mentioned yesterday, Jenny's a very strong water polo player. So pretty gutsy for a water polo athlete to enter the 800 metres. Going well at the moment though, obviously training well, in good shape. Just dragging the legs behind her so she can keep the tempo high, breathing to both sides, keeping it nice and long. Having to set her own pace at the moment, so it's pretty tough going up to the 300 metre mark. Talked about it yesterday in terms of the pacing, but there'll be a similar idea in the 800. You won't just be jumping in and swimming as fast as you can. There'll be a plan.
So Jennifer then doing some early pace work. Sits high in the water at the front. You can see the head and the shoulders there quite clearly from the side view, the dolly camera. Left hand enters a little early sometimes, driving through the water. She wants to carry it forward and place it into that catch position. Nice little kick and streamlining. Very upper body dominant swim. The legs just patterning there. Just giving a little bit of kicking action to match the tempo of the arms. Normally human beings are coordinated between arms and legs, but we falsify that in swimming and give different rhythms of the legs and the arms, and it's a bit like patting your head and rubbing your tummy. Or try this one at home. If you sprint on the spot, but have your arms go as slow as possible. That's a good party trick. A lot of fun in that.
Some nice dance moves there.
So in second place in the second heat of the 800, a line across the pool. Lanes 2, 3, 5 and 8. And just swimming together. Again, very different interpretations. Once you move off the sprint events, you know, the classic 6-beat leg kick and very fast arm action, and you go out to 400 and 800, then different interpretations happen. You can see there some are kicking high, some are breathing to one side. Nova Centurion there, Lorna Milligan just breathing every two. So that makes the stroke just a little lopsided. Some coaches and swimmers want to have a balance, breathing to both right and left. And sometimes that can be a pattern of every three, but if you take a look at the leader there, she's putting in a couple of breaths to the right and then it's to the left. It's certainly not every three. Oh, two to the left there. So, you know, you can just pick one aspect of the stroke and take a look at the screen at home or in the office or on the computer or wherever you are looking, and just see what happens over a little bit of time, because the 800 does give you that opportunity to enjoy the skill of the sport and the aspects of the sport. You know, we analyze it with, you know, body position, arm action, leg action, breathing, timing. We have words like rhythm and tempo. You pick them up yourself, because we want you to get to know the sport better. Just don't write in and disagree with us, that's all.
Yeah, you saw the hashtag SGNC 2014 a couple of minutes ago on the screen. Keep those tweets coming in. Carnegie, boom, 50 fly. Mark Schranek into the A final. Fast swimming. SNS group, nice picture of MJ. Looking really, really shredded up, ready to race. Very, very good shape, very lean. MJ readies himself for the men's 200 breaststroke as the morning heats get underway. Jenna Mackay, good luck to Eloise Barber and the rest of University of Swimming. See you soon. Hope you enjoy the swimming, Jana. And Paul Mick, Snooty Paolo. Glad you're watching. Keep the tweets coming in. Got a link to the swimming there. And Sammy Turner, picture of MJ. Put a shirt on, big man. You're putting the rest of us to shame. Yeah, quite right, Sammy. That's another good shout.
Well, Jennifer Davis hearing the bell at 700, 8:18, 3:4. No pickup, just doing the business. The arms quite bent under the water, but a good tracking line underneath. They come out early, reminiscent of swimmers in the 60s with the arm dominant swim, very little leg kick. Not quite as fast as some of those swimmers. The Janet Evans and company, who are, well, about the same size, maybe slightly smaller. And that's important, the shape. And now she picks up, seems to have a lot of energy left. It's a really good pickup in the last 50. I like to think that when you get to the end of the swim that you're spent, your energy is gone and you've nothing left. And it's all about recovery then, and relying on your overall conditioning to pull you back for the next swim. Very fast finish from the Nova. But the lead does go in 9:28.96 to Jennifer Davis. Entered on a 9:34. So the arm goes up. It looks like a small salute of success from Jennifer as the heat completes. And well back from the swim, it's Zoe Scott, the 17-year-old City of Glasgow swimmer in lane 9. She's just swam through that well, as you were saying, if you're entered, you're in the swim, you come, you do it. You might not be on your best, or you might be unwell, but your training and conditioning and the culture is we do the swim, we do the event. So good. I'm sure she'll be shocked at that 10.16 on the board, but I'm sure there's underpinning reasons for that kind of swim from Zoe. Board just clearing and the results confirmed. Davis with a 9.28 in first place, Lithgow 9.37, tight on the second place at 9.37.7 to Milligan. That's the 1, 2 and 3 from Heat 2. Now what happens in the distance events is that the times are blocked. There are only 5 heats in the whole event. The 5th heat swims in the finals. That's the fastest heat. But there's always an opportunity for somebody from the earlier heats to rank higher, because all the times are then ranked and the 1, 2 and 3 are taken off that. It's rare that somebody from outside the final heat does go in, but it can happen, and it happens more and more as the depth of distance swimming gets better all over the world level, the European level, the British level. More swimmers are coming through onto the distance program, doing well, and therefore if you're swimming outside that final heat, you've still got a chance of ranking well in the event. This is Heat 3, the penultimate swim of the morning session here on day 2. And we're underway. No swimmer in lane 7. It's Lauren Gilks that's out for City of Glasgow. So you've got McPhee, McKenzie, Thompson, Ray and Hewitson in the top half, 0 to 5. Then Illingworth, Duthie, no swimmer, Taylor and Emily Horn of Perth in the bottom half, out to lane 9. Here's how the early swim, the first 200 shaping out. And again, you can see that already some are ready and on form. And in lane 4, Emily Hewitson of Dumfries, the 15-year-old with a 9.24 entry time, is well back at this stage. More to be told as this event unfolds.
Saw some really solid swims yesterday from Ailey in lane 6. So she's obviously on form, leading us out through the first 200. Turning around about 213, 214 maybe. Pretty close, 1, 2, 3. That'll settle them down. No one to get through the first 200 meters in this race. We need to start building the rest of the race from here though.
I know what you mean. There are many people out there, lay people, who have picked up on our YouTube coverage, and you know, when you say build up, there's a feeling, or there might be a feeling, that that means get faster, because as you build up, obviously, you know, you do get faster in the whole sense of the phrase, but you don't mean that.
No.
Literally.
No.
Take it for us.
Really mean just, quite often you'll find, in very, very basic terms, you could break the race up into quarters. So you have the opening portion, and that will set up the tempo, it'll set up the technique, it'll set up the rhythm for the rest of the race. When you're coming into the second quarter, for example, the second 200 here, you really just need to calm down, make sure you know what you're going to do. You can't get too carried away because it's a long way. It's a long way to die this race. So you've got to make sure that your efforts are spread evenly throughout. And there's a number of kind of tactics and techniques you can do to do that. You can drop the feet a little bit. You can just try and hold your stroke rhythm together and just keep it fairly relaxed. Take it 150 at a time. And then start to, you know, maybe just use your fitness and your strength a little bit more as the race progresses, but not to speed up, just to hold the same tempo. That's the key thing, is just holding the tempo throughout.
Right, thanks. I'm sure a lot of people are glad of that more detailed explanation, David. Thank you. Ailey Duthie in 6. Beautifully smooth, lovely, even balanced stroke. You just think that, you know, what she really needs is a 400-metre long pool, and she could just swim it all like that. It's really very economical, very efficient, going through in 4:36. It's not so much power, but it's a very easy application of all the good principles. The legs swimming a little interrupted pattern, sometimes quiet, sometimes high as she turns to breathe. You often find that it's not just a very even kick all the way through. There's just that little adjustment. It's just a natural rhythm, of course. And whatever way you can keep those legs up and keep the body as flat as possible and reduce the frontal drag, the drag created naturally with the body moving through the water on the front surface. If you have your legs dragging at the back, and I'm sure many recreational swimmers appreciate this, it's like pulling a bag of coal behind you. And if you go too quickly in these in the early part of a distance event, then you'll feel that bag of coal quite quickly.
Yeah, and the harder you try to swim quicker when you've got that sort of inefficiency, the more energy it takes, and it won't be long before you completely run out of gas. So everything is really designed towards making sure you're as effective as possible technically, and that you're able to maintain it throughout the race, you know. Sometimes it does look like the guys are just going along quite steadily, but that's only because they're trying to hold on to their technique. They're trying to be as effective as they possibly can through the water. If it became a bit more erratic, the energy that would take to sustain it would be overwhelming, I think.
Just as you said that though, James, Ailey Duthie just turned the wheel a little bit and started to pick up a little bit. Maybe she feels quite good at this stage, feels she can put a little more into the swim, but around about the 450, 500 mark, she certainly had a sticky spell. She stuck to her task, she kept the swim long, but she looks a little bit brighter. Nice and clean, everything's very clean at the front. No splashing, no air bubbles. It's good efficiency, effective technique. And as David has just called, just trying to hold that and evenly spread the available tank of energy this morning.
Remember, most of the thing the swimmer will be looking at for the most part of the race will be the bottom of the pool. And there's little markers all the way along the bottom of the pool, so you'll know where you're at 25 meters. There's a big line across the bottom, and there's also a couple other markers along the bottom of the pool, and you'll notice them as you go past them, and it'll help you keep that rhythm and keep, you know, the same stroke count by that point.
And again, off the wall, hearing the bell, just that little bit of injection of pickup. The legs now a little bit stronger and a little more even in the stroke, looking much more like a 200 swimmer. A lot of work going on over there in lane 3. Lauren Ray of Loughborough digging in hard. In 5, Lucy Illingworth, South Ayrshire, not making any dramatic change to the order. The order stayed the same from about 200 onwards. A big spread in the field. As Jennifer has 25 to go, then you can see Emily Horn Well, it's Katie Taylor that's well back in lane 8. Has that and another 50 to go. So, nice pick up to the finish, looking fresh. 9:13.97. Dramatic drop from the 9:28 in the previous heat. Really good swim though from Jennifer. From Ailey rather, from Coast, the 16-year-old. .9:39.7 against a 9:26 entry time. Again, a good 10-second plus improvement. And the heat finished with Katie Taylor coming in on 9:54. There's the results. Duthie in 9:13 was first, Ray 21 second, and Illingworth 9:24 for the third place in the third heat. Now the final swim of the morning, heat 4, women's 800 freestyle. So no summer in lane 5. Breaking news. 800 freestyle, 5th heat.
Yeah, we're just hearing that the last heat of the 800 is going to be swam this morning. So we will have 2 more heats of this as it stands at the moment. Not sure about the reasons for that, but we'll find out. Danielle Huskinson leading out this race, taking it out strong. Open water swimmer Danielle. So this will be like a walk in the park. Nice clean pool. As opposed to the open water events that she's used to doing.
Well, they've caught everybody out this morning with a little bit of shaking up on the field. It looks as if they've taken the seedings and changed them a little bit. Huskinson due to swim in the 5th and final heat. But here she appears in heat number 4 anyway. We just ignore that. Go with the board and have a look at the swim. And this is a very strong lead out. 2:07. It'd be interesting. We saw a 2:15 split in the previous, so you can see the difference.
Yeah, no repeat swim for Danielle for this, so this is the only chance that she's got, so she's got to let it all happen right now. She looks very strong. As I said, open water swimmer. She's very, very strong throughout the whole 800. Really picked up a nice tempo. She's obviously attacking this race. You can tell, working the kick off the turns, really trying to get back into that rhythm as quickly as possible. Breathing to both sides.
So the last 2 heats of the 800, a little bit of shuffling around. No summer in 5, which is a shame for Danielle Huskinson. A big lead. And powering on. The rest of this heat is just gone, really. I mean, what a breakout in the first 300. swimming over in lane 3. Rachel Dutfield, and then Zoe Miller in 2 beside her. These two swimming side by side. A nice little race. And there's a 4-way battle from lane 6 out to 9. It's Pirouette, Snedden, Smith and Jordan Sturton again doing the job for Warrender in lane 9. But they are 25 metres behind the heat leader. Well, I said earlier that at certain levels of swimming talent and ability, when you get to the 800s and the 1500s for men, the 800s, you start to see a spread. And, you know, swimmers have got to be ready to be in their individual zone and know exactly what they're doing, whether it's right, wrong, if they can make adjustments, because they only get one shot at the 800. Number of swimmers who are well back and spread out. It's still an arrowhead formation because they've seeded the heat, but it's not a race as such. The race is against the clock and against yourself and against what you're bringing from the training program. So quite a different visual for you this morning in this heat of the 800. Huskisson well out there, now extending that to 27, 28 metres lead, and absolutely in her own world.
Yeah, it was 4:18 at the halfway split. So she's repping about 65s at the moment. She'll have to keep that going to be on that entry time, on that PB pace of around about 8:38. She looks strong at the moment, looking very good.
8:38, and it's 8:38.58 that is the nomination time. Working hard. That turn, even on long course, the turn interrupts the flow of the stroke. You got to then make sure you back up and into the rhythm very quickly. And it's like 3 separate races. You've got Huskisson out here in the lead. You've got 4 swimmers in the bottom lanes, the 6 to 9, who are having a little 4-way battle. And then up at the top, we've now got a clear second place from Dutfield. Rebecca Dutfield from Windsor is in clear second place. And now you've got Zoe Mitchell and Alicia McCracken side by side, working hard over there in lanes 1 and 2. Lane 0 well off the pace. Jenna Lafferty well back, and here comes Huskisson then again at the turn end. The drive, good extension, but very quickly up, right inside the 5 metres, back up into the working mode, the working position, digging in. Distance training in the pool, good practice in the open water, but it's a very different stroke that you have to develop for open water swimming. But tough you need to be, that's for sure. 7:33 and a half, 7:34 on the way through.
Gonna have to work a little bit to get under the 8:40 barrier, but I think that's on.
Yeah, stroke's got a little bit shorter, kicking's a little bit harder. She recognises that there's an opportunity here. So 7:34 at the interim, 8:07. Whoa. She should be able to get under the 40. 33 on the way out, the last 50, the last 25, all eyes on 8:38.58. That's going to be tough. Looks as though she might just get underneath the 40. Huskisson versus the clock. Really good effort here. 8:38.7 against 8:38.58. Oh dear, give me the gun.
Oh dear, yeah. That's a great swim from her. Bit like Martin Kremen in the 1500, all that way and just falling a fraction short.
The rest of the race completing most of the swimmers into the final 50. The last turning, Jenna Lafferty over there in 0 as they come home. So Rebecca Dutfield of Windsor coming in for second place. The battle for third just being won over there in lane 1, Alicia McCracken. Just going to take the touch, I think. Yes, no, fourth place over Jordan. Start again, 9:22. A good swim, entered on 9:20, but a good place swim in this particular heat. And in comes Jenna Lafferty to complete that heat. Well, Huskisson, obviously, University of Stirling, 21 years of age. She'll be analysing already. Top place, 8:38.73, just outside the qualifying time. 9:19 to Dutfield for second. Jordan Sturt in third and 9:22.6, just snicking that third place. Well, I wonder what that's about, David. I have to ask the question. You've got a programme, you've got a finals programme, and then in the middle of the session, you get a switch?
Yeah, I don't fully understand what's happened there. I think they had a reshuffle, so I think the final will happen tonight.
And it's just that Huskisson has moved into Heat 4.
That's the part that I don't understand. If they're not having the last heat now. Yeah, so the final heat will be later on. I'm not quite sure why Danielle wasn't seeded into that final heat.
Unless there was a couple of withdrawals, a spare lane, and there's some pressure on her to be elsewhere or significant appointment, but that would be very unusual.
Yeah, you'd expect she'd want to be in that final heat to race against the...
Well, the final swim is actually going to be a swim-off in women's 50 freestyle. Jessica Wilkie in 3, Annie Brown in 4, Ashley Highland in 5.
Three-way swimmer, not very common at all.
Not at all.
Good though.
This is where you'd like to know what they did in the heat to get the equal time.
Yeah.
We don't have that kind of computer facility yet here at Tollcross. A raging first 25 all together.
Yeah, very, very close. Maybe just showing a little bit Annie Brown in the middle for me. All kind of come down to the last 10 metres. Annie Brown looks like she's slightly ahead. Just needs to get the head down into the wall.
She just made it, but she just paused there about 10 metres to go. There was almost like a pause at the breathing, and I thought she'd lost it there. But, well, they were all in 27s, and it's the 12 100s that makes the difference against 27 and 59. 1, 2, and 3 in the swim-off for the 50 freestyle. Brown, Wilkie, and Highland.
Yeah, got the head down, showing a wee bit ahead. Annie Brown. You're right, she did pause just a fraction coming in. Had enough of an advantage. Finishing real strong, Jess Wilkie. Just leaving it a little bit too late.
Well, the venue is emptying, as you can see. Everybody away for a short break before the afternoon session. And some swimmers.
Looks like we got another swim off.
Getting ready for a second swim off. Well, I wonder, the art of communication seems to be dead.
It just shows you how close these races are, though, eh? You get swim off in both the women's 50 freestyle and the men's 50 fly.
Well, Mano a mano, eh? 50 butterfly, equal time from the heats. And now for a place in one of the finals.
See them facing away from each other there.
It's a long wait. The scoreboard isn't ready. They've maybe been caught as well by the second swim off. If I was a starter, I'd be relaxing those swimmers. Stand down, relax.
A long time to be standing there right beside the block, isn't it?
Murder. Stand them down, starter. Let them know they can walk about. And everything's just stiffening up there.
We'll be wondering what's going on for sure as well.
What is this? This is becoming a joke. This is becoming a farce. This should not happen to these people.
Here we go.
If it's a technical fault, they should have stood the swimmers down. Greg Watson in 4, Ewan Dunbar in 5. Strong starts. First into the stroke then, it's Greg Watson. But the underwater was effective for Ewan Dunbar. He puts him up beside, and again, stroke for stroke. There's only going to be a margin of hundredths in it. 15 to go.
Yeah, got to get the timing of this finish right, because they're going to come under the flags exactly together. It's going to all come down to the finish. Who's got it? Oh!
Well, both had to rush at the end. It's a 300th victory to Greg Watson. But you know, so many butterflyers make the mistake of leaving it to the inside the red to make the decision about the finish. You can make that adjustment 6-7 meters out. You can see here, stroke for stroke. You were right, David. Their hands were together as they went underneath the flags. But they quickened up, head down, making the adjustment.
Yeah, just Greg, he just had the timing of it a little bit better coming under the flags, didn't he?
Yeah, but still, both of them for me had the head up. They were too close to that pad. You know, you really want to be head down, maximum extension of shoulders, your fingertips reaching out and touching the pad as you strike the water. Well, so just little things like that can make a big difference.
Yeah, well, those times it looks like they were swimming off for the A final position, so they'll both get a chance to come in and go faster again tonight.
Good stuff. Well, 2 swim-offs, 53 and 50 fly. And we now have a presentation. And this is for one of the multi-class events. And a nice little format for the multi-class swimmers. It's a heat declared winner event. And again, Regan Doig, a record swim and a 2nd gold medal of the meet.
Yeah, that was for the first event, the 200 IM.
Yeah, well, we had an interesting conversation earlier about the attitude of athletes in UK versus that in America, and even although it's you know, Reagan there, you can just see people coming in. You know, I'd like to see the president well dressed and the athlete being given proper respect, and you know, and a little bit of ceremony to it. I thought last night in the presentations, you know, it was all very kind of barren and lacking any kind. This is the national championships. This is the Commonwealth Games selection. You know, they could do a lot of good work there. As we have a 2nd presentation. And this is the 400 freestyle.
400 freestyle, yep.
And nice smile there. Good, you stand up straight, you take your medal. In the background there, the Vice President of the Scottish Swimming and the President doing the honours. The East Lothian Summer.
That's not James Clegg.
No, James is getting a representative. He's off doing something else. I'm sure that'll be a story to tell in the future. How I was James Clegg and I'm now Fraser Kane picking up a nice silver medal. Record yesterday and a medal today. So it's a good meet so far. Yeah, from the first session then, David, Jameson looking very strong.
Yeah.
Anything else catch your eye?
Jameson looking very strong. Ross looking very strong with that sort of even split 200 breast. I think that'll shape up to be pretty exciting this evening. I thought the 100 metre events are shaping up to look much like the 100 metre freestyle did yesterday. Very close, but no sort of standalone swimmer in those events. So it's going to be a real tussle for the win.
Well, let's hope they can convert it this evening.
Yeah, and then I think maybe just the 400 metre freestyle, Stephen Milne against Robbie Rennick. I think that's going to be an exciting one to watch.
Yeah, and don't forget Hamilton in the battle.
Yeah, of course, yeah. He surprised me a little bit in the 1500 that he was so close to Stephen. He did a really, really great job in that 1500.
Thanks very much, Dave, for that, the thoughts of the session. So we're going to take a look at this afternoon. It's, of course, it's the slower heats of the same events, and a chance for younger swimmers, many of them, to pick up on their PBs. And of course the men's 4x200 freestyle relay, we'll see at least one heat of that as we anchor that in the final session this evening. And always great to finish on a team event. So the same events coming up this afternoon. Thanks, Dave, for your work this morning. I'm sure it's been a tiring first couple of days, but I'm sure you'll condition well. To Glasgow Live, the sponsors, Scottish Gas, and the production team, as well as all the officials. We'll be back in just under the hour with more live action, starting at 1 PM BST. And we'd like to thank you for viewing with us. For now, Drew Gordon and all of us here at Tollcross International Swimming Centre, it's goodbye for the moment. Good afternoon.
Was great, but I'm getting ready to make 2014 even better.
It'll be a great night just to catch up, relax, and as a swimmer actually get to dress up and look normal.
And then a chance to see lots of people from all around different parts of swimming and have a good evening with them.
The awards ceremony was fantastic with most people turned out ever, so years to come it's just going to get bigger and bigger.